Testing. I'm a little bit quiet. I think that's okay. I think I'm in an acceptable level. Oh my god. No sleep? Just the blender? Okay. We left off at the Wax Museum. That's all I remember. There's a French lady who owned this place. And we kind of suspect that these wax figures might be made out of dead bodies, but we don't know. Okay, I think we were supposed to ask her things. Yes, okay. The Great Detective Waxwork is so funny. Alright, let's see. Did you make all these waxworks, Madame Tuspels? Or is it two spells? I don't know. I did. I'm the third generation of waxwork artisans, you know? Gosh. Oh god, I don't remember anyone's voices. Gosh. It was my grandmother who began the tradition in my family. Her fortunes were checkered, living through the turbulent times of the French Revolution as she did. So that is when she acquired the savoir-faire that leads to the astonishing lifelikeliness. All these waxworks really do look as though they're alive. In fact, they look more alive than Hurley. What you see exhibited here represents the most atrocious of London's criminal past. All the waxworks were created in the presence of the real people on which they are modeled. The hours immediately following their executions. That is the secret to extraordinary lifelikeness. That sounds terrifying. All walks of life have similar challenges, I'm sure. To carry out one's trade par excellence, one must go to extraordinary lengths. My exhibits are a reflection of society. I create only that which the public wishes to see. Ugh. Why couldn't the public have wished for something less horrifying? And do not fear. Sorry. This room is the only one in the museum with such a macabre theme. I do hope you'll explore. There are models of famous singers, actors, politicians. Something for every taste, I hope. It was Iris who dragged me straight in here, come to think of it. Sorry, perhaps I should have eased you into things. Alright, what's up with Sholmes? What's the situation with that? Ah, my temporary waxwork model. He approached me some days ago, you see, with a business proposal. Oh, what sort of proposal? My dear madame, what these sparse exhibits need is the addition of a world-famous great detective. Or words to that effect. Naturally, I am well aware that Mr. Sholmes is widely known in London as a talented detective. It's great detective, actually. He's very specific about it. Yes, the creme de la creme. So I was keen to come to some arrangement with him, of course. But sadly, we were unable to agree terms. Let me guess. Someone wanted to charge an exorbitant price for his services. For a mere £500, I will dive into your cauldron of wax this very moment. Or words to that effect. Mr. Sholmes might have overdone it slightly with the sales pitch. Regrettably, the museum has a shortage of funds at the moment due to unforeseen circumstances. So we came to the current arrangement instead. Surely he doesn't need to do what he's doing though, does he? I would think not, but he was very insistent. I have a 50-shilling problem that must be resolved by the morning. Or words to that effect. It's the pawnbroker, that's what it is. He must have something to redeem. It's the consulting detective work not going so well. I wonder, could I ask you something? Bien sûr. I'm just curious, is anything going on in the museum at the moment? Some kind of incident, perhaps? Crochet witch hat? I saw like a crochet pattern for the, what is it? The sorting hat that I kind of wanted to try making. I do have brown yarn. It's very dark, so it wouldn't look as nice. If I had a cat, I would crochet it a witch hat. Whoever suggested such a thing to you? Oh, well, it was your temporary waxwork over there who mentioned it to me a little... Oh, he's disappeared. I don't know who says this. A wax model is a work of art, not some tawdry object for trade. Ah! Is that Sholmes? Oh, that is, okay. There you are! Leaving the exhibit again when you should be working. Do you wish to be melted down? My dear Madame Two-Spells, save your reprimands. There are more pressing concerns. The wax can wait. It's our ideas about your current problem we must throw into the melting pot instead. Went Sholmes. Yeah, no, I didn't mean to. I didn't know who was talking. I thought maybe it was like a new character. Personally, I would advise you not to involve the police. Why ever not? She's turned as white as a sheet. Man, they should have done as pale as wax or something, you know? Because you have at your disposal the great detective, whose services you may employ for a mere 50 shillings. Though please be aware that I prefer... No, I insist upon payment in advance. Very well. Let us see if the great detective is able to live up to his name, shall we? Before I engage my analytical processes, I must ask you to clarify something. Yeah, who the fuck is this? What prey is behind the curtain? That is the Two-Spells special exhibit. There's an extra charge to see it. Ah, the special exhibit in the House of Horrors. It must depict a special killer then, I presume. Would you be so kind as to draw back the curtain, I wonder? Absolument non. There's nothing amiss behind there. Nothing amiss, madame. There's a fucking arm sticking out. What about the arm protruding ominously from under the curtain? I strongly encourage you to allow me to see what lies beyond before the situation worsens. Yes, very well. I will draw back the curtains, but only a soupçon. Oh, a soupçon? Soupçon, right? Because it's got the squiggly accent aigu or whatever that is. I don't remember what it's called. But the squiggly C. What if it's just an arm on the floor? It's like literally just an arm. I must confess, I peeked behind the curtain earlier. The Two-Spells special exhibit is a very bleak graveyard scene indeed. And yet, somewhat surprisingly, the waxwork killer one would expect is nowhere to be seen. What does strike one, however? No! Is the portly gentleman lying peacefully on his back on the floor. Well. Oh, well then perhaps, Mr. Sholmes, that man on the floor is the ruthless killer himself. I'm afraid not, my dear fellow. He's a perfectly ordinary London gentleman, not even a waxwork, in fact. What?
As skillfully made as these waxworks are, they are always distinguishable from real humans. So, allow me to present my two conclusions.
I can't remember where I've seen him, but he's very familiar.
The first is that a sizable business transaction has been taking place in the special exhibit.
What? Why would you say that?
The second is that the aforementioned transaction is linked to a serious crime.
She looks as pale as candle wax. Oh, there we go. They used it. I don't understand.
So, Madame Two Spells, as you've agreed to my fee, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work.
Oh my god, it's one of these. I just don't remember where I've seen him. Was he maybe like a juror?
To begin with, we must ask ourselves, what exactly is afoot here in this museum? The answer is revealed by the bundle of banknotes protruding so helpfully from your bag. In my estimation, some 200 pounds.
Damn, she's just got $200 sticking out of her bag. That is all my own money. Oh god, she went British.
So, what does this large sum of money reveal? Not as much as the involuntary glance you cast, it would seem, Madame Two Spells. Yes, the answer lies with where your eyes now fall. The significance of the 200 pounds is revealed by that public notice. Waxwork for sale. Your business has hit hard times, it would seem. In short, you sold the infamous killer the centerpiece of your special exhibit for the sum of 200 pounds.
No!
Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? It would appear the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you.
Does that emote look okay? I'm worried that I made it not big enough, that maybe I should have zoomed in on the face more.
Unfortunately, madame, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the 200 pounds. It would appear that you twisted this gentleman around your little finger most effectively.
What are you suggesting?
He rashly agreed to purchase the waxwork for the sum of 200 pounds. Only when he came to hand the money over did it occur to him what an extortionate amount he was paying. But the money was no longer in his hands. And the result, the scene we see before us, he collapsed in shock. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit fetched a killer price. We can only pray that the gentleman's dreams are not plagued with regret.
I'll try zooming in on the emote on the face and then uploading that.
The question that arises then is what has become of the waxwork that changed hands? Let us consider that problem for a moment.
You cannot possibly...
What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man standing over there. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his neckerchief, such as is worn by policemen as a secret sign to fellow members of the force that a crime is being perpetrated. Yes, this young man is an undercover policeman, currently investigating this museum. I know him well, in fact. It's Sergeant John Clay.
What are you talking about?
The man's quite a celebrity. He received triple accolades at last year's policing awards.
But...
Next, we turn our attention to the old man sat before him with a particularly unsightly visage. I've been watching closely, and he hasn't moved a muscle, almost in fact, as if he were a waxwork.
But you...
Your reaction only confirms my suspicions, madam. I noticed it at once, of course. Observe! The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is waxwork is the obvious price tag. I'm pretty sure he's alive and then the guy behind him is waxwork. Threepence, a tragically low price, you might say, though perhaps is going rate for aging waxworks riddled with cracks. And yet you sold it to the portly gentleman for an exorbitant £200. You better hope he doesn't wake up and hear you calling him like that. The sort of plucky behavior that's sure to attract the attention of Scotland Yard. Isn't that so, madame?
I do not...
Yes, the waxwork you sold has already been seized by the police and remains in their custody as we speak. The old man must have reunited with his grave in the special exhibit not a moment too soon. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. I see I've stunned you all into silence.
You have, Hurley, you have. And you've obviously upset this young lady in the process. Her cauldron looks awfully hot.
If I could just bring up one point, Mr. Sholmes. The notorious Naruhodo, 1 point. I'm all ears, my dear fellow. According to your deduction, then, the special exhibit featured this old policeman. So, that would mean that he's the particularly ruthless murderer, wouldn't it? The killer policeman, Ottermole. Sorry? It was a mysterious series of murders that rattled the capital only last year. The police rushed to the scene every time, only to find that the culprit had disappeared into the ether.
And it turned out the culprit was a policeman himself, a senior officer by the name of Ottermole.
So you mean that's who the sinister-looking old man there's supposed to be? Indeed, it is a particularly grim face, is it not? Unforgettable, in fact. Yes, I remember that odious countenance only too well. But is £200 a lot of money for a wax model? It would be enough to afford one of the latest steam carriages if that puts things in perspective. So, it is quite a lot then.
Is there anything else you wish to add? Before I melt you down?
That bubbling wax is looking more and more ominous.
Oh, the smell of all that molten wax is starting to worry me.
Mr. Sholmes did more or less just accuse her to her face, so I think I might have to call on your assistance here, Iris, if that's all right, to make some minor corrections to the great detective's great deductions.
Of course it's all right. We'll soon set things straight.
Well, let's get started then, shall we? Before Madame Two-Spells vents her anger. Just what I was waiting to hear, my dear fellow. So, Madame Two-Spells, in accordance with our agreement, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. All right, here we go again. To begin with, we must ask ourselves what exactly is afoot here in this museum. The answer is revealed by the bundle of banknotes protruding so helpfully from your bag. In my estimation, some £200. That, Oh,
That is all my own money.
so what does this large sum of money reveal? Ah, not as much as the involuntary glance you cast, it would seem, Madame Two Spells. Yes, the answer lies where your eyes now fall. The significance of the 200 pounds is revealed by that public notice. She definitely looked in this direction, it's true.
But I'm not sure she'd sell any of her waxworks even for 200 pounds.
Oh?
She must pour her heart and soul into making them, don't you think? Over and above the wax. If it were me, I wouldn't sell them for anything.
For that much money, I would. But it sounds like that makes me a bad person. Well, anyway. I wonder if the 200 pounds could have some other significance.
Let's follow that furtive glance again and see if there's anything else that could explain it.
Well, I don't know. How about the man that's just passed out on the floor? Portly man. It seems this well-dressed gentleman is alive after all, just not alive and kicking. And he's not a waxwork or a model of a mass murderer.
I'm not sure I'd pay 200 pounds for him. Iris!
I don't think the man's up for sale.
Well, anyway, it was a silly place to put him. Other museum visitors could easily trip.
I don't think the man was put there on purpose either.
Biku!
But yeah, if that emote is too hard to tell, I don't know, is the heart emote fine then? I guess because there's a giant heart, then you can kind of tell what it's about. Waxwork for sale. Would anyone really buy models of mass murderers?
I think I'd rather have 200 pounds in my pocket.
Exactly. You could buy one of those brand new types of steam carriage. That's what I'd spend on it if I had it. No question.
Ooh, I'd buy all the herbs in the world.
There must be another explanation for the money. We need to keep looking. I'm pretty sure it's that giant note on the wall, but I'm just gonna like ignore it. It's just hard to see the hands. I'm not too worried about the hands. But yeah, I'll figure something out. Alright, what's this note say?
What's that note doing pinned on the wall there?
Oh yes, let's see. Dear Madame Two Spells, we've taken the prisoner from this room. The price for his safe return is 200 pounds. Have the money ready by noon on 23rd October.
What?
This is... It's just like the sort of thing that's left behind when someone is kidnapped.
Yes, it's a ransom note.
Exactly. So they've taken the statue ransom.
Take that!
Well, not statue. Is it still? No, it's not a statue, is it? I don't know. The significance of the 200 pounds is revealed by that ransom note. Quite so. We must congratulate these criminals on their inventiveness abducting a waxwork. 200 pounds is no small ransom fee, yet you clearly intend to pay it.
The model in question has special importance. So I put together all the money I have.
In summary then, the 200 pounds you have in your handbag is ransom money.
Thank you for that, Pat. I miss you patting my head.
Now let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? I got nobody's concerned about this man. He's just like casually passed out there. It's just chilling. It would appear the man has suffered a severe shock. the cause of which is clearly known to you. Unfortunately, madame, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. What dealt that man such a shocking blow was, of course, the 200 pounds. So if the waxwork was kidnapped, where does that leave us in terms of who this man is?
We could just ask him when he comes round.
I think the point of this exercise is to understand the beauty of the deduction process, Iris.
Yes, you're right. Early's trying so hard, we mustn't let him down.
Well, there's little doubt that he suffered a shock. That much seems clear. But in that case, what's Madame Two-Spells trying to hide? Let's have a closer look around. Okay.
So she was prepared to pay all that money to get her waxwork back again. It really must have been a very special model.
Of a mass murderer? Just how special can a model of a ruthless killer be?
Well, anyway, we can be fairly sure the man lying on the floor didn't take it.
I suppose we should leave him in peace. Okay. Her long hair braid? LMAO, okay. Her hand. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. What the fuck? That is not her hand. She's holding somebody's hand back there. What the heck? Is it that guy's hand back there? In the gray suit? That'd be funny. Let me look at her long hair. Madame Two-Spells has very long hair, doesn't she? And like, this is her hair braided up, so like, if she were to unbraid this, it would be even longer, wouldn't it?
Yes, but you couldn't tell looking at her from the front.
You know, it looks rather like a whip, don't you think? The sort of whip that could have floored the gentleman with a single crack.
That seems a little far-fetched even for you, Bruno.
That is hilarious. Okay, can I look at her hat at all? No. I think the only other thing I can look at is like that hand she's holding. Yeah, okay, what the heck is this?
This is just Madame Two-Spells' right hand, isn't it?
Yes, it must be. I can clearly see her left hand after all.
Oh, but wait a minute. This is a left hand as well. Look.
Don't say such creepy things, Iris, please.
And it seems very stiff, too. In fact, it's really hard.
You mean it's made of wax?
Take that!
What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the waxwork hand. So did she, like, smack him with it? I don't understand. Stiff and hard? Yeah. Indeed, with a solid waxwork limb, one could deliver a very substantial blow. How could you? The hand protruding from the bottom of your cape. It ought to be a right hand, but closer inspection reveals that, in fact, it's a left hand. Ah! And somewhat masculine as well. In other words, it does not belong to you, madame. It is the hand of a waxwork model. I don't know what came out of me. Also, that's a very large hand. She was hiding that behind her back.
Some of the visitors to my museum can be troublesome. They meddle with the exhibits and cause damage.
So you mean that arm?
Yes, this gentleman saw fit to try to remove it as a souvenir.
No small keepsake. Like taking a whole branch of a cherry tree when you go to view the blossoms.
I am afraid I had to teach the man a lesson.
You confronted the man and tried to take the arm back. And the result, the scene we see before us, he was knocked unconscious. A point we may need to revisit later, but for the time being we have our conclusion. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit has been kidnapped. There must be like something in the wax model that like directly links to like the actual killer maybe. Because I don't know how else it would be so important or like so special. The question that arises then is what has become of the waxwork that changed hands? Let us consider that problem for a moment.
You cannot possibly...
What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man standing over there. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his neckerchief. I think we need to observe his missing arm. According to Mr. Sholmes, the yellow neckerchief is a sign to other policemen that some crime is underway.
A way of communicating with his colleagues without revealing his identity. And yes, it's a secret that's closely guarded by Scotland Yard.
That Mr. Sholmes didn't hesitate to give away.
Well, uncovering secrets is any true detective's nature, of course.
Right. Anyway, judging from Madame Two-Spell's reaction to Mr. Sholmes' deduction, I think perhaps we might not have identified the man quite correctly. I mean, honestly, last time Sholmes gave away how to, like, rob a bank, so I'm not surprised. Yeah, he's literally missing an arm. This is so funny. Anyways. Okay, we'll look at his neckerchief. A secret scarf sign to warn other agents of an ongoing crime.
I know, it sounds so thrilling, doesn't it? Maybe I'll try to work it into next month's installment.
But then the police's secret will be revealed to all of London's 6 million inhabitants.
Well, they'll just have to come up with a new sign, I suppose.
How does this 10-year-old manage to have such terrifying influence? Alright, I love this hat. I've seen hats like this in Japan as well. They're called flat caps, aren't they?
Yes, all hunting caps. Though this hat is called a deer stalker, by the way.
Hunting. Stalking. The British certainly seem keen on catching game. Every time I see a deer stalker, I automatically think of Mr. Sholmes. But a flat cap makes me think of a Japanese country gentleman somehow. In other words, people from all walks of life wear all different types of hats. So that doesn't really help us. Alright. Literally his missing arm. What the? The man has a stub sticking out of his shoulder where his arm should be.
Oh, well that settles that then.
Right, this isn't a real person at all.
His entire arm's been ripped off from the shoulder down.
His arm's been... Of course, and that ties in with what we just found out.
Take that!
Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his shoulder stub. No such boneless human walks this earth. Of that I can assure you. In other words, the man standing here, young Sergeant John Clay, is in fact defying all odds, a waxwork model. I seem to remember it was you who concluded he was a real person in the first place, Mr. Sholmes.
He has become quite a celebrity in London, being the winner of no less than 3 policing awards last year. I simply had to make a model of the man.
Naturally, what other explanation could there be? And it was this detective's arm that was pulled off by the man on the floor in the special exhibit, wasn't it? Next, we turn our attention to the old man sat before him, with his particularly unsightly visage. I've been watching closely, and he hasn't moved a muscle, almost in fact, as if he were a waxwork.
But you...
Your reaction only confirms my suspicions, madame. I noticed it at once, of course. Observe. A telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is the obvious price tag. Killer policeman. Called Ottermole, was it? Was he well known?
It was all over the papers last year, but I can't say I know what he looks like. It's a very low price, though. Ruppence isn't much money.
Only enough for a few measly hours of gas in Mr. Garrett's delightful lodgings, in fact. So this is the special killer taken from the special exhibit, is it? The waxwork that somebody stole from the museum and tried to ransom for 200 pounds. Is this crusty old killer policeman Ottermole? Really?
Perhaps we should have a good look again and see if another idea crops up.
Bruh, okay. 3 pence. It's a far cry from 200 pounds, isn't it?
With Ruppence, you could buy it and put it on display in your room, Bruno.
I think I'd rather not go to sleep being watched by an old man if it's all the same to you. Could you imagine? I mean, I know there are some people who have like cardboard cutouts, but could you imagine having a full-on like wax model in your room just staring at you as you sleep?
The price tag does stand out though, doesn't it? I mean, you couldn't even buy the helmet on his head for that much money, I don't think.
I wonder what the price tag's really for then. It's obviously for his scarf, y'all. Anyway. Oh, his foot! Bro, could you imagine he's been listening the entire time? He couldn't have, right? Because like, I don't know, if somebody called me crusty, I would have punched them. I don't believe it. It's the secret sign.
It's the secret sign that lets other detectives know some criminal activity is underway.
Yes, it's a slightly strange choice of outfit if he was trying to go unnoticed.
Ah, he must be a detective disguised as a policeman.
Or a detective disguised as a waxwork model of a policeman.
He doesn't look like he's clever enough to think of something like that, though.
Perhaps you should try to be a little more polite about him, Iris. Yeah, he's like fucking awake right now. Look at this! The old man's tapping his foot like crazy.
Seems to be fast asleep, though.
He's not tapping his foot consciously then. So you mean...
It must be a twitch.
Never mind that. The point is, waxworks don't tap their feet.
Or twitch.
And look at his arm too. We've seen a scarf like that somewhere else around here, haven't we?
Take that!
Telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is the obvious twitch. Even the most realistic waxworks do not exhibit twitch. In other words, the splendid old man is in fact a genuine member of Scotland Yard. Slight shift in your choice of adjectives then. And there you have it. Well, Madame Two Spells.
Well, what? It was me who contacted the policeman and demanded that someone come in the first place. He is clearly fatigued. He is sound asleep.
But then, what's this tag about showing a price of 3 pence? No doubt the price tag of the muffler, which the old Bobby recently purchased at a local market. And I presume you've observed the scarf tied around his arm. Does that not strike you, Mr. Navajodo? Yes, the secret sign used by detectives to show that some criminal activity is currently underway.
Of course, because as you know, there has been just such criminal activity happening here. As you deduced from the very beginning, Detective.
So, it would seem that we finally arrive at the truth. The waxwork of the especially ruthless killer from the special exhibit has been kidnapped. And Scotland Yard are already investigating. But the model's whereabouts remain a mystery. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. I wonder what this all has to do with, the, teleporter ray.
All sorts of people visit my museum here. Men and women, young and old. Sometimes they drop in just for a short time on their way back from the pub. I welcome them all. But if anyone tries to damage my exhibits, I do not take it lightly. Anyway. Your great deduction was even more enchanting than I've been led to believe.
It was a pleasure, my dear madame. I'm gratified that you enjoyed the spectacle. And as for your rough customer, I've no doubt he'll regain consciousness shortly and return home. What concerns me more is the waxwork from the special display, if it was indeed genuinely abducted.
Yes, tragically, it was.
And I would ask you to recount to us the events surrounding the stolen waxwork, in as much detail as possible, if you please.
Very well. But after I've told you what I know, I must insist that you return to your work.
The talents of a great detective could be put to better use, I feel, but as you wish. Okay. Oh, I didn't mean to do that, actually. I meant to converse. Tell us more about the stolen waxwork, please.
It was some days ago now. When I came in here one morning, I immediately noticed that the waxwork was missing from the special exhibit here. It is your most prominent display, so that's why the curtains were closed. And I found the ransom note in its place.
The culprit must have broken in during the night and taken it then.
So this waxwork that was stolen, it was a model of some horrible criminal, I suppose. Of a particularly horrible criminal. In fact, the killer who left a more profound scar on society than any other. I would say, so Professor.
Not a name I've heard of. So, Mr. Naruhodo, seems the circle is complete. Sorry?
The Professor case happened at around the time I was born, didn't it?
Indeed it did, Iris. 10 years ago, a series of murders that rocked the capital. 10 years ago? Yes, at exactly the time that Beric Van Zeeks graduated from university, in fact. What? Surely he's not saying.
So the big event that changed Mr. Reaper's life.
As you've surmised, it was the Professor case. Who was this Professor, then?
It was a series of gruesome murders that had all of London gripped in terror a decade ago. After 5 victims were killed, the man was arrested and put to death.
And now he's immortalized here in wax for all Londoners to admire and enjoy. Though, of course, he happens to be absent at present on account of the abduction. But I don't understand. How is all this related to Lord Van Zeeks? You must first understand, my dear fellow. Why is it that the professor earned such infamy? It was due to the victims he chose. Some of Whitehall's finest.
What do you mean, Hurley?
Those murdered by the professor were some of the highest members of the British aristocracy. Members of the nobility, even royalty. It sent shockwaves through the country's administration. Members of the... wait, of course. What Professor Harebrained said. Lord Van Zeeks is from a family with noble blood.
Oh gosh!
It was the fifth victim that led to the professor's arrest. The last of the killer's prey was a young noble by the name of... oh my god, is it... Van Zeeks' like brother or something? Clint Van Zeeks. I knew it! No! I don't believe it! Van Zeeks? I'm sure you can piece together the rest for yourself. In the wake of his older brother's murder, the young Berwick pursued a career as a prosecutor, and eventually became the Reaper we know today. I had no idea Lord Van Zeeks had such a tragic past. Well, I'm afraid that's all I can say on the matter, for the time being at least. After all, I have work to do. As a waxwork exhibit.
I'm afraid I shall have to excuse myself as well.
Oh, yes, of course. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Well, none of the predicted scenarios I've been analyzing involved you coming to visit me here. Oh, who said this? Oh!
It's been too long, it really has. I'm delighted to see you, Berwick.
It's been 10 years, and here we are, meeting in a prison of all places.
I can't forgive myself for what happened to Mr. Asman. I just can't.
I still can't believe it could happen. Tomorrow, the court will decide.
Yes. I have a young Eastern man acting for my defense. Seems reliable enough, though. It was an accident. Terrible accident. He assures me he can prove it.
I must warn you.
Oh, I know. I've heard already. You're going to be prosecuting, aren't you?
Yes.
Since I returned to England, I've heard lots of stories. Berwick, are you really?
What?
Never mind. I know that you have my best interests at heart.
My friend is on trial. I wouldn't entrust it to anybody else.
Of course, I fully understand. Thank you, Berwick.
Until tomorrow, then. I'll see you in court.
That's cute.
I guess we start the trial now. I can't believe it's been 6 months since I was last allowed to work in court. And now here I am, back at the Old Bailey.
Mr. Naruhodo.
Good morning, Professor Harebrained.
I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. The atmospheric pressure in here is off the charts. I've never felt anything like it. It's crushing me.
I feel it every time I'm here. That gravity.
Well, this is Britain's highest court. But are you telling me it's fitted with some kind of device that can actually control air pressure?
I think it's probably all in the mind.
Ah, yes, well, you won't let me down, will you, Mr. Naruhodo? I'm counting on you in today's trial to save my life. To save the secret of my super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine from being made public.
Yes, I understand. I know what I have to do. Also, heads up, we have ads in about 4 minutes. I have to establish that the explosion 2 days ago was nothing more than an unfortunate accident.
Well, I'm sure there's nothing to worry about, really. Justice will prevail.
Oh, who is this?
My commiserations, Mr. Naruhodo. You appear to have been lumbered with a most tiresome case here.
Oh, this is Sherlock. Mr. Sholmes, I didn't expect to see you here.
That was very mean, Bruno, leaving me at home with Hurley. It took me at least an hour to wake him. Is it? Are you Sherlock Sholmes?
Indeed, sir, I am he. Sherlock Sholmes.
Oh, I've heard all about your exploits, even while living in Germany. Ah, yes, Rance magazine is on sale in Germany, too. This month's installment was sublime. Your deduction in The Adventure of Silver Blaze was wonderful.
Ah, yes, memorable case indeed. It concerned a snake, I seem to recall.
No, that was the speckled band.
Well, thank you for coming. I do appreciate your support. I'm sorry to disappoint you, my dear fellow, but I'm afraid I can't stay. Oh. I have urgent business at Madame Two Spells. You mean your waxwork job? No, the waxwork abduction, of course. Madame is engaged in my services. Ah, so you're trying to get to the bottom of that ransom note, are you? The week's wages depend on it, as does the safe return of the waxwork, naturally. As such, I intend to give it my undivided attention. Oh, well, never mind then. I understand. Of course, with my skills of observation and reasoning, solving the matter will be as easy as proverbial pie. I shall return forthwith. For until I solve the case, I shall have no money to afford a pie of any description.
Oh, then you must absolutely give it your full attention, Hurley.
Iris just wants pie. Quite, Iris, quite. But life is riddled with irony, you know. Whenever I give something my full attention, I have a quite insatiable desire for pie. One of the universe's intractable mysteries, you might say.
Oh, yes, quite. Definitely, absolutely. I totally understand.
Is this someone a little starstruck? I wish you the very best of luck, Professor Hairbrain.
Why, thank you.
Before I depart, Mr. Naruhodo, a word in your ear, if you please. What's this about? As you have remarkably little grounding in science, I feel I ought to inform you. As compelling as the super high voltage instantaneous kinesis hypothesis may be, a practical implementation such as was attempted by the professor at the Great Exhibition is quite impossible. But the professor said the demonstration was a success. Yes, it would appear that he fervently believes it was.
I've read Professor Bunnybrain's paper about it too, Bruno, and I have to say, I'm sure it can't be done. It could barely be done theoretically, let alone practically.
So he's completely barking up the wrong tree. How can an experiment that had no possibility of succeeding in fact succeed? That's contradictory. And it's all that contradiction that will be at the heart of the trial, I've no doubt. What's that supposed to mean? Now, I must hurry along. I wish you the best of luck, my dear fellow.
See you later, Hurley.
Iris is so cute, I love her.
Well, it looks like you're on your own today, Bruno. But chin up, you can do it.
Oh, what about you, Iris?
Oh, no, I'm afraid I can't help. I have something I need to do.
I see. Wow, even Iris is ditching me.
It's going to be a big surprise for you when you find out what it is.
That sounds ominous.
Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court is about to be in session. Make your way into the courtroom at once.
We're on our way. An experiment that the laws of science say can't possibly succeed. And a scientist who's convinced that it did. That's the riddle you have to unlock here, Ryunosuke. Oops. I didn't notice, but the ad break ran now. We are gonna wait. We just started. 3 minutes. I don't have anything I need to do. You know what? I'm gonna eat myself some cookies. We ran out of ice cream. So no cinnamon buns for me today because we don't have any ice cream. Let me actually go into the options menu. I don't want to accidentally misclick and skip on the text. One thing I could do is open up that file I made for the emote. I don't know how well Photoshop is gonna run on my computer right now. Because the thing is, the one thing I could do is I could, zoom in a bit. Because yeah, I could really zoom it in and make it like all on the face. You know what? We'll see how this goes. Let me export this as a PNG. What are we doing? 20 seconds left of ads. Alright, I'm gonna go quickly upload this thing. I don't know if it'll be right away. Art. There we go. Okay, I don't know if it'll show up right away. Ads are done. Okay, welcome back. Alright, we are going to continue the game. I'm not sure if anybody missed anything. Okay. That is the bigger version. I suppose that one's a bit better. Probably. We'll see. I'll decide later. Okay. That's the riddle you have to unlock here, Ryunosuke. That's the key to this case. Oh, we have some new jury members, I see.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are sitting today for the public trial of Professor Albert Hebre. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. I'm 6 months out of practice, and what's more, I'm without Susato-san today. Ugh. Is it just my imagination, or does the air in here feel even more oppressive than usual?
So, I must say I recollect the victim of this case all too well, Mr. Odie Asman.
Mr. Asman, as well known as a financier? I don't know. Though that was merely a front for his diverse criminal activities.
It was only a month ago that the man appeared in court prosecuted by you, Lord Van Zieks. But the jury unanimously found him not guilty.
Because every member of the jury had been bribed by the sound of it. These powerful London criminals are prepared to go to extreme lengths to keep their freedom.
But 2 days ago, on 21st October, Mr. Asman met his end. The work of the Reaper, was it?
If that is how your lordship would describe divine retribution. But the fact remains that Mr. Asman's death was a direct result of the actions of the accused, Professor Harebrain.
Very well, then. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people. Are the 6 of you ready to fulfill your societal duty?
Oh man, I don't think I recognize any of these people.
I'm most gratified to have been selected to carry out this important civic duty, my lord.
I didn't mean to give him that voice, but you know what? It's funny.
To have a man's fate in the palm of one's hand. Oh gosh, oh golly, it sends shivers down my spine.
Science experiments, magic conjuring tricks, courtroom trials, all are nothing more than performances.
Oh, maybe that voice should go to this guy.
Any what am I doing? Any spurious scholar that defiles the reputation of science deserves to hang. We have to listen to what's said on both sides, the fence, and settle on one. That's it, isn't it?
Oh, it's the sleeping guy.
Wasn't like this in my day. Wasn't like this at all.
That's the police killer Autumnal lookalike again.
Now, as I'm sure you are all aware, the incident we are here to judge today tragically took place at the Great Exhibition shortly after its opening.
Though the death toll could have been far worse, with the exception of the victim, no one was killed. Nevertheless, the dream of the science being exhibited rapidly turned into a nightmare for the spectators.
A tragic turn of events, and as such the eyes of all London, no, of the whole world, will be on this trial. It is our duty to reach a swift and just conclusion, I feel. So, your opening statement, please, Lord Van Zieks.
At the heart of this incident Is technology never before demonstrated anywhere in the world?
One of science's latest developments, I take it. The government is keen to capitalize on the Great Exhibition to improve Britain's technological advantage.
The technology being demonstrated by the accused was described as super high voltage instantaneous kinesis.
Good lord!
It's designed to disassemble human subjects using extremely high voltage electricity and beam them instantly to another location where they are subsequently reassembled.
Is such a thing even within the realms of possibility?
Well, I don't believe it, that's for sure.
Oh my god, what came out of me? Well, I don't believe it, that's for sure.
Disassembling people with electricity. My goodness, how shocking.
Ha! The whole idea is absurd. The hypothesis will never stand up to scrutiny.
Sir, I believe you are a fellow of the Royal Society, are you not? An expert in your field.
I am, and my word on the matter can be considered final. Instantaneous kinesis is poppycock.
So this expert and Mr. Sholmes are in agreement. It's impossible.
What is the prosecution's view on the matter?
The prosecution would assert that the accused's instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a success.
What?
What rot?
Order! Order!
The professor's hypothesis is currently under investigation by the British government. If it is deemed to have merit, a substantial research grant would be made available. The accused made use of the invention built on his new hypothesis to take Mr. Asmund's life, in order to be the sole benefactor of the grant.
But...
This disastrous demonstration was no accident. It was carefully designed from the outset to end the life of the victim.
Thank you, Lord Van Seeks. The prosecution's stance is clear. But you will now bring forth witnesses to substantiate your claims.
Gladly, my lord. Bailiff, show the first witness to the stand. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court.
Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. I was on duty at the demonstration on the day in question and in charge of the following investigation. Albert Harebrain, a scientist.
You were born in England, but have been carrying out research in Germany in recent years, correct?
Yes, that's right. After graduating from university here in Britain, I went to work in Germany and made an amazing discovery. Which is what brought me back. I had to demonstrate my incredible hypothesis at the Great Exhibition.
What you demonstrated was incredible, all right. An incredible explosion.
But the science was a success. The instantaneous kinesis worked. Everyone saw it. They must have done. Yes, there was a terrible accident, but the demonstration of my hypothesis was a success.
Well, that much is undeniable, as shown in this photograph taken by the forensic investigation team. Looked like he was shot.
This was taken inside the Crystal Tower, I take it. The centerpiece of the exhibition, no less.
That's right, my lord. Seems the victim ran straight into it.
I see. Very well. Submit the photograph as evidence.
As the court heard, the victim of the incident was Mr. Odie Asmund. There had been a number of allegations made against the man, but putting them aside for the time being. It was the man who financed the research for the experiment and the demonstration itself.
I see. So to summarize the situation, the defendant is accused of taking the life of the man who funded his work. Would that be correct?
Exactly. But couldn't it be that the explosion was caused by some malfunction in the apparatus used for the demonstration?
That's right. That must be it. My splendid machine. My poor splendid machine.
You saw it yesterday, didn't you? You can't even examine the wreckage thanks to the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act.
What? The wreckage? The wreckage?
But that being the case, how can the facts be established? How can it possibly be determined whether this was an accident or a deliberate and malicious act?
Extremely simply, my lord.
I beg your pardon.
Isn't that right, witness?
What? Sorry? Me?
No, your neighbor.
Yes, sir. It was murder, plain and simple. Anyone could state that with complete certainty.
What? How can he possibly think that?
Thank you, Inspector. I think we had better proceed to formal testimony. You will explain to the court on what grounds you claim this experiment to have been a front of murder.
The corpse that went crashing through the crystal tower had a broken neck.
I made a minor miscalculation in the angle of the beam projection, that's all. That was my mistake.
But the post-mortem examination revealed another injury, a fatal wound. There was a lesion in his chest where he'd clearly been stabbed by something sharp, right in the heart. So the victim was killed before he went anywhere. This fella's the only one who could have done it.
An extraordinary business. In addition to suffering a broken neck, the victim was stabbed in the heart.
Information I would really like to have heard from someone other than the judge.
The coroner says death would have been all but instant from a wound like that.
You could say, in fact, that the victim was killed twice by the accused.
No, that couldn't be further from the truth.
I have here the experiment plan document that was submitted to the security team. The victim stood himself inside something called the birdcage, ready to be beamed instantly. To the second level of the crystal tower, about 25 yards away. The experiment did not go according to plan, however. As the machine was put into operation, there was a large explosion. The blast caused the beam transmitter to point higher than intended. Accordingly, the kinesis resulted in the birdcage materializing in mid-air, from where it subsequently fell, crashing through the glass of the crystal tower's large round window. Is it not possible that the explosion, shot him off into the sky?
My word, one assumes the victim's neck was broken upon impact with the tower then.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. The machine was just too powerful. But honestly, really, I swear, it was just an accident, a terrible accident.
Unfortunately, that excuse can't save you. No, not considering the sharp murder weapon that pierced the victim's heart.
Murder weapon? What are you saying?
This is the autopsy report submitted by the coroner. The prosecution would like it entered into the court record.
Your request is granted, counsel.
Okay, autopsy report has been added.
I was there in person, you know. I saw the whole ludicrous performance. And the only person on the stage with Mr. Asmund was that disgraceful excuse for a scientist.
No, really. By all accounts, it must have been him.
Hard to think otherwise, really.
Very well, counsel, for the defense. Proceed with the cross-examination, please.
Oh, yes, my lord. I need to focus here. It's been a while. Hey, we're gonna press on everything. Are you suggesting that's because he fell from a considerable height? Exactly, which highlights something else about this whole Brom business. What's that? The fact that the instantaneous kinesis itself was a success. After the explosion, the cage with the fellow inside suddenly appeared out of nowhere, mid-air.
So our very experiment ended in disaster. The so-called instantaneous kinesis did actually occur.
Remind us, Professor. What was the cause of the fatal disaster? Hold it! So the angle of projection is critical, is it? And you calculated it yourself, personally?
Absolutely. Calculation is far too complicated for anyone but me to carry out.
Only you got it wrong, didn't you?
Yes, that's right. That's the point. The calculation is so complicated, even I can make a mistake.
Do people fall for that brazen confidence? I should try it.
I took into account the subject's height and weight, the wind direction, the ambient temperature. I considered every possible variable, so I just don't understand how this could have happened.
Obviously, then you had to include the weight of the clothes Mr. Asmund was wearing at the time, I suppose.
Crackling comets! The answer should have been 3!
So much for safety first. The 3 must be for safety third. Oh, I meant to go back. Hold it! Another fatal injury, you say? That doesn't make any sense.
I didn't think I'd have to spell this out, but here we go. Just because there were 2 fatal wounds doesn't mean I'm saying the victim had 2 lives to lose, does it?
2 right?
Obviously, at first, we thought the bloke had died due to his spine snapping in half as well.
But you're saying that's not the case.
You'll get your answers once I finish my fish and chips, if you don't keep butting in every few seconds.
But we all know that's a bottomless bag. I wish I had a bottomless bag of fish and chips. The victim plummeted 30 feet into a glass tower. It would be reasonable to assume that as the cause of death.
Right, that's what we all thought, but it was a red herring, wasn't it?
Okay, there was a lesion in his chest. The defense knew nothing of this crucial information. The prosecution received this report from the forensic investigation team only this morning. That was the first we knew of it as well. I can only apologize for the impossibility of informing the defense. Sarcastic and insincere. Thanks. So, what was the nature of this sharp object? Among the accused's tools that were in use at the demonstration, one is of particular interest. This. Oh!
Ah, yes. That would appear to be some kind of screwdriver, wouldn't it?
There he is! My trusty little companion, Andrew! Andrew the screwdriver.
Andrew? Of course.
Ah, you know each other already. He's one of my dear friends, like all my tools. I've named them all, you know. We're one big happy family. Andrew is my flathead screwdriver, of course. His brother Michael is a crosshead.
Well, it would appear that your beloved Andrew has a red stain on his shank.
That isn't...
It's blood, beyond all reasonable doubt.
No.
And that's not all. The long, sharp shape of this Andrew fellow is completely consistent with the victim's wound. What? What?
Order! Order! The court will enter this friend of the defendant as evidence.
So one of Professor Hairbrain's tools is the murder weapon. Great. Alright, this is the last thing we have to press, and then I suppose we'll go look at the evidence. What grounds do you have for saying that?
Ah, you really need to ask. There were only 2 people on that public experimentation stage in front of the whole crowd.
The victim, Mr. Odie Asman, and the accused, Professor Hairbrain. And we know for certain that before the experiment, the victim was alive.
That's right, I saw him with my own eyes.
Furthermore, following the explosion in Kinesis, nobody went anywhere near the body.
In other words, only someone else on stage with the victim could have possibly done it.
Oh? Excuse me?
Excuse me.
Professor Hairbrain, do you have some information that may be relevant here? Professor!
Ah, sorry. I was just calculating the optimum coefficient of electrolysis to separate molecules in the human body.
The witness stand is the best place for that. It seemed as though you might have something to say about Inspector Gregson's last remark.
Ah. Yes, that's right, of course. He just said that nobody else could have done it, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Who else could have stabbed the victim, eh?
I don't know, but there's no way that I could possibly have stabbed Mr. Asman, as you say.
Explain, please, Professor.
Of course, this cold-hearted policeman may not be aware, I suppose. But humans are warm-blooded mammals with blood running continuously through our veins.
I had heard.
Then surely you see, if I plunged something the size of Andrew into the man's chest, the whole stage would have been a bloodbath, no, a blood swimming pool.
Ah,
But thousands of Londoners were watching me at the time. And yet not one of them claims to have seen a swimming pool of blood.
Well, no, I suppose not.
You see, not one. True, I didn't see anything like that.
well done, Professor. That was a great counter-argument.
Order! Order!
Pray forgive the discourtesy if I savor a drop from my hallowed chalice to accompany my old friend's adducing. Here's to you, Albert.
Oh, you're too kind, Beric, but I'm really not a patch on you.
No, you're not.
No?
You've neglected to mention one crucial possibility.
I have.
A particular situation in which very little bleeding would result from a stab wound.
If the thing was still in it?
Ah, of course.
Inspector, enlighten the court, please.
Yes, sir.
Where are they going with this?
Very well. You will amend your formal testimony now, Inspector Gregson.
Is this it? The weapon the victim was stabbed with must have been left in his body while he was beamed through the air.
Hold it!
Why would you think that, Inspector?
With any wound, it's only when you pull the weapon out that profuse bleeding occurs. Whilst it's still lodged in the body, it acts as a stopper of sorts, for want of a better word.
I see.
You don't need a medical degree to be aware of this fact. It's common knowledge for any investigator.
Ugh, where's Susato-san when you need her?
If you ask me, this bloke masked what he was doing from view with his body before stabbing Asman in the chest. And he beamed the victim off the stage with his fancy device, the screwdriver still where he planted it. I would never do such a thing. Not to my precious tools. I would never use them for such dirty work. We only use tools for their intended purpose. That's common knowledge for any scientist.
The fact remains, the lack of blood at the scene can easily be explained, as the prosecution has demonstrated.
So that's all the testimony I have to work with. I had no idea the victim had been stabbed. That changes everything. Did Van Zeeks keep that to himself until now on purpose to gain the advantage? Oh well, I suppose all I can do is press these witnesses for as much new information as possible. Okay, I've gone through everything, so I'm gonna go look at the court record. Oh man, when I examine things, there's not gonna be anybody there. Like if I look at this, can't find anything out of place. I just wanted to like look at something so that he would say something. Because what if I look at it by myself? Looks like layers of thick canvas with a thick rubber lining of sorts. I've never seen anything like it before. But applying Mr. Sholmes' methods, he might deduce it was part of a raincoat worn by someone who really didn't want to get wet. And the charring must have occurred when the person was struck by lightning. Or maybe not. Okay, this is funny. I've never seen dialogue by myself. Ah, there's some sort of lever here. What is this? It looks like a cross between a bow and a gun. I think it's probably used for the same thing too. Huh. I find it interesting that they were able to write the lines in a way where like Ryunosuke just says them by himself and it doesn't sound out of place. Does he have anything to say about his attorney badge? This set of scales is supposed to be the symbol of a defense lawyer, I think. And it's set on a background of a sunflower design. Or was it a dandelion? Or a chrysanthemum, perhaps? Well, anyway, no one should be judged on their knowledge of flowers. Or lack of. Hello, Roderick! Thank you for the raid! How was your stream? Oh, you're playing Persona 5. I haven't played the Persona series, but I've been interested in trying it. Did you have a good stream? Hello, everybody. I am Marble. We are playing Great Ace Attorney. We just pretty much started the trial. Oh, thank you for the follow, Galussi. I've arrived. Now hydrate, you old ass. Oh, thank you, I will. Thank you for the follow, Art Gray. You love my Ace Attorney series? Thank you, I'm glad to hear that. I'm just gonna... I guess I'll do a little catch-up for you guys.
But basically, we are defending this scientist. He did a demonstration. I don't quite recall the name. It was some like super high voltage kinesis device. Basically, what it was supposed to do is it's supposed to teleport someone. And instead, somebody died. And now we're trying to defend him and prove that it was an accident and not murder. Also, his name is Albert Hairbrain. I love Ace Attorney in general. Me too. I can't wait for Apollo Justice to come out. Although I'm not sure if I'm going to be willing to pay for it. After Ace Attorney, you should consider Persona 5 Royal. It's on sale right now. Is it very similar? I don't know. Is number 4 worth playing, or should I just go to number 5? Because I think 4 and 5 is normally what I see people play. Do 5? Okay. If I ever play it, I'll do 5 first then. Just got here, but I second this opinion. Okay. It's very turn-based combat like Final Fantasy. Oh, okay. I'm not too big on turn-based combat. I don't mind it, but we'll see. It's very visual novel. Oh, I'll love it then, probably. Yeah. I love me some visual novels. Roderick got me hooked on Persona. I bet. It has romance, doesn't it? That is even more another reason to compel me to get it. Story's fantastic. Combat is an afterthought. Are the Persona games related, story-wise, or is it kind of different each one? Frick Kamoshida. All my homies had Kamoshida. Is that a character in the... Oh, all my homies hate. Is that the villain in the story? You know, actually, how much is it going for? I do know that there is the sale, but... It's probably, like, not that much, is it? Persona 5. Never mind. I don't think it's on sale anymore. No, it's not on sale anymore. Rest in peace. Well, there is the winter sale, so there's that. Because I think what just happened recently was the fall sale, right? Pretty sure. So the next is the winter sale. Yeah, Persona 5 Royal. Damn. $80. I could Jack Sparrow it. I could. It already ended? Seems so. Because when I go on Steam, it's not on sale. Unless it's on sale somewhere else. Today might have actually been the last day of the fall sale. Maybe. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I could probably, yeah, snag a copy through other means. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. But yes. Currently, this is the guy that died, by the way. He is, it's like another one of those cases where it's like this guy who has a very good public image. He's very dead, yeah. It's another one of those cases where it's a person with a very good public image, but they're actually not a good person. Like he's like the head of some big crime organization. I'm going to bed. Oh, no worries. Have a good sleep, Art Crazy. Thank you for following with the raid. And he was supposed to be teleported. Yes. So everyone believes that the teleportation worked, except for a few people. I am one of them. I'm pretty sure the explosion propelled his body to the destination and that he was not actually teleported. But anyways, apparently the current theory is that the calculations were wrong and like the beam actually ended up beaming him up here and then he fell, which also caused him to snap his neck. But that's not what killed him. But yeah, I'm pretty sure when the machine exploded, his like body was just flung over there. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. But yeah, supposedly what killed him was like, he was like stabbed right in the heart.
And right now, we think that... Okay, so it hasn't been proven yet, but like people think this is the murder weapon. This screwdriver, it's got blood on it. I don't think they've matched the blood yet, but it does match the shape of the wound. Also, its name is Albert. This is Albert the screwdriver. He has a brother named Michael. You know, let's take a look at Andrew. This court case, we are alone, actually. Shomes is busy, Iris is busy, Susato's still in Japan, so we're all alone today. This is blood. Mr. Asmon's, no doubt. This is the problem with looking at murder weapons. It's very strange to not have like a second person to voice their opinions. I've seen this unusually shaped handle before. It's the same screwdriver that was lodged in the grill on the floor of the kinesis machine, which could be important information, so I should definitely make a note of it. I don't know whose blood that is, but I feel like it's not Asmon's. Alright, what else is there to look at? Is that all? Okay, well, what about the autopsy? Hey. Coroner is Courtney Sith. This is the first time we've ever seen a coroner name, and so I'm not sure if that's important or not. It's probably important. Okay, details of victim. Odie Asmon, male, 47, British. Time of death, 21st of October, around 2:20 p.m. Cause of death, hemorrhage of a wound to the chest that pierced the heart, inflicted by a sharp impalement. Additional observations are broken vertebrae, most likely resulting from impact after a sudden fall from considerable height. My stuff froze up. I'm back. Welcome back. I feel like this is a case where I have to press something again because I don't think I have any evidence to contradict. So I'm gonna have to press everything again. I'm not gonna read anything I've already read. But yeah, oh my god, I wish if you hadn't seen that intro to this episode, it's hilarious because you see the whole thing play out. You see like the demonstration, so to speak. And like this man is literally like this board, this strap, he was literally strapped to this wooden board in the kinesis machine. There was literally like this wooden board with straps and then like he strapped himself in. It was so funny. It's so stupid too. Okay, everything so far is the same. Am I to prove that it... What? I don't know what I'm supposed to be proving.
Hold it!
It's not quite clear. But yeah, supposedly he miscalculated the angle. And that's why he was teleported too high. Okay, that's not it. Postmortem examination revealed another injury, fatal wound. Maybe I should just pull up the walkthrough. Because we've gone through this, nothing has changed. I mean, we've got 2 more dialogues to go through, but...
Hold it!
That's the one thing that I don't like, is that I'm a person who normally presses everything, and sometimes you gotta like press on something again, but like it's very difficult to figure out what you need to press again. But yeah, basically everybody found out this morning, except me, obviously, that the cause of death was like a stab to the heart. I thought that maybe, like, because he crashed into the tower, some piece of glass, I don't know, stabbed him in the heart, but if it's the shape of a screwdriver, then I don't know. But yeah, it seems like Albert's only friend is his toolbox, and that's a little sad. What was with the slipper? Maybe it's not blood. Maybe it's not blood. Is that what it is? It's blood beyond all reasonable doubt. No. And that's not all. The long, sharp shape. Okay. Consistent with the victim's wound. Okay, maybe it's not blood? Or am I supposed to prove that it... No. Oh, I'm a dumbass. Okay, yeah. I'm supposed to present the evidence because I found the screwdriver by the machine. But they say that the victim must have been stabbed with it left in his body. Because the counter argument was that if Albert had stabbed Osmond, then there would have been a lot of blood. But then the only reason there wouldn't be a lot of blood is if the weapon was still in his body. I say hi by burping and doing physical violence. Well, I didn't hear the burp, but I definitely felt the slipper. Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna be brave. I'm gonna save. Okay, we gotta present that we found this, right? That was found poking through the grill in the base of what remains of the kinesis machine. Yeah, okay.
Objection!
You say that while the weapon remains in the body, there's very little bleeding. Is that unequivocal?
Look, there was no blood on the experimentation stage, even though that's where the fellow was stabbed. The only explanation for that is if the screwdriver was still in his body, stopping any heavy bleeding. It's common medical knowledge, my learned friend, even on your side of the world.
Yes, I know. We've been through this like 2 trials ago. Yes, but about this screwdriver. The thing is, we actually saw it at the scene ourselves, on the experimentation stage.
What?
It was on the floor by the wreckage of the machine, poking through a metal grill. I went to pick it up, but the detective here stopped me. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson?
Well, now you come to mention it, yes. Inspector, are we to understand that you permitted the defense counsel to investigate? That you contravened the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? No, not at all. I wouldn't do that. I just let him look, nothing more. I was very clear he wasn't to touch a thing.
Yes, that's true. The screwdriver was in plain sight on the stage. But it shouldn't have been, should it?
What are you getting at?
If this tool had been in the victim's body when the victim was beamed away by the machine, then it shouldn't have still been on the stage. That's right, it should have been beamed across to the Crystal Tower along with Mr. Asman. And been found still lodged in the victim's chest. By the way, the whole theory behind the kinesis thing is that if you apply enough voltage, enough electricity to a person, you can like disassemble their molecules and beam them towards a destination where they are then reassembled. It's obviously not possible, but it's it's funny to think about. Especially when some of these people so wholeheartedly believe it was a success.
Order? How do you explain this, Inspector?
I don't...
It looks as though everything that the victim had on his person moved with him when he was beamed. If the screwdriver was still in his chest when the instantaneous kinesis occurred, obviously that should have been beamed to the destination as well.
You...
This is a strange situation. Even though people are saying that this instantaneous kinesis is a scientific impossibility, we're still basing arguments on the assumption that it did actually take place. Alright, time to tighten the screws here. My lord, if the prosecution is unable to explain this inconsistency in its argument, we can only conclude that the testimony given in support cannot be relied upon. Lord Van Zieks is stumped. Oh, that was Albert.
Do you have something to say, witness?
Yes, I knew it. It bears out. The equations hold. Mr. Naruhodo, don't worry.
About what?
Without delving into the details, there is no inconsistency.
What?
Even if Andrew had been lodged in Mr. Asman's chest, my trusty tool wouldn't have moved. Andrew remaining on the stage is consistent with my calculations.
Boo Boo, you're digging your own grave. What? What?
It would seem your illusions have been shattered. Clearly, we should hear the accused's explanation. Or should I say, this brilliant scientist's explanation?
Just when I'd found an inconsistency in the prosecution's argument. Scientists.
Very well, the defendant will testify again. Provide us with a scientific explanation as to why the inconsistency asserted by the defense fails to hold.
In the name of Apollo, I will, my lord.
Alright.
To be clear, I'm still at the stage of gathering data in my research. My hypothesis states the kinesis cannot transport metal, though hence the metal weapon would have stayed put. In other words, the point just raised by Mr. Naruhodo isn't an inconsistency at all. Mr. Asman was the patron of my research. Without him, my work wouldn't have been possible. Now I have a duty to protect the incredible machine that we built together.
Oh, I forgot to mention, Van Zieks is one of Albert's friends. They went to university together, so they're old friends.
So, the thrust of your testimony, Professor, is...
That based upon this hypothesis, metal objects cannot be moved by this method of instantaneous kinesis.
In other words...
In other words, since the screwdriver is made of metal, even if it remained lodged in the victim's chest, its subsequent discovery on the stage, despite the victim being found elsewhere, is not an inconsistency.
And therefore,
Professor Albert Harebrain could still have been the killer.
My great hypothesis holds, you see. We had to make the cage used to contain the subject from wood for that very reason.
I was not addressing you, witness.
Professor Harebrain.
Yes?
Whose side are you on here?
I don't take sides, Mr. Naruhodo. No, no, no. My only interest lies in upholding my hypothesis. I'm a scientist, after all.
Is he working for us or against us? It's very hard to tell.
Let's see how you cross-examine this testimony, my Nipponese friend.
Yes, fire away, Mr. Naruhodo.
God damn it, Albert. Alright, we're gonna press him.
Hold it!
And yet your retort to my argument wasn't lacking in confidence in any way.
No scientist can find the truth without first finding self-belief. Those were the words of a certain scientist I hold in very high esteem.
But you realize that disproving my argument puts you in a very precarious position, don't you?
No scientist should strive to protect himself more than he strives to protect the truth. More words of the same great scientist, you know.
Words that are causing me a lot of trouble. Who is this scientist? Oh my god, if it's Herlock Sholmes, I'm gonna cry.
I'm afraid I couldn't tell you, Mr. Naruhodo. But as soon as I remember the magnificent genius's name, you'll be the first to know.
This scientist is either a dumbass or a genius. A bit of both. I mean, his last name is Hairbrain, so... Also, a heads up, we have ads in about 5 minutes. It might be worth keeping the names of your idols to mind.
You're wasting your breath, my learned friend. His scatterbrain even forgets my name at times.
So Lord Van Zeeks really did have a friend once, but I didn't notice hell freezing over.
Hold it!
Your hypothesis states it, so this isn't proven then.
No, of course not. It's merely a hypothesis, but a good one, based upon thousands of calculations. But it is widely known that metals can't be decomposed by electrolysis. Yes, of course, so I am right. My hypothesis is clearly correct.
What is it about incriminating himself that makes this man so happy?
It's the whole reason that the birdcage is made of wood, you see.
Sorry, the birdcage? I find it's funny that they call it the birdcage.
Yes, that's what I call the C. obtusa case in which... the cage in which Mr. Asman was placed for the kinesis.
Ah, the jail cell in which the victim was detained. It does indeed seem to be made of a timber of some sort.
I'll thank you not to refer to it as an instrument of incarceration, your lordship.
In short, any weapon lodged in the victim when he was beamed away by instantaneous kinesis would have been left behind on the stage if it was made of metal, correct?
Yes, that's it. Yes. It all fits perfectly with the mathematical model.
But the ultimate conclusion, then, is that the defendant alone had the opportunity to inflict this fatal injury on the victim, is it not?
Ah,
indeed, sir.
Someone beam me out of this nightmare.
Hold it!
You seem to be pleased by that.
yes, another example of my hypothesis holding true. But I sense some sarcasm, Mr. Naruhodo. Are you not pleased?
No.
I knew it. At the end of the day, I'm the one responsible for Mr. Asman losing his life. The advancement of science is no excuse, I know that.
No, you're quite right.
Tell the court, did you have a close relationship with Mr. Asman?
Oh, well, no, not really. I mean, I'd only met him 2 or 3 times. And we only ever discussed my hypothesis and the project and the research grant, of course.
Hold it!
How did you come to know Mr. Asman in the first place?
What is that? A year ago now, a small provincial science journal published a little paper about my work.
That's a scientific journal. Good gracious, I should need new spectacles.
That is a small paper.
I might have had an extraordinary hypothesis and great promise, but at the time I had no money. I had to eat tiny little meals at a tiny little cafe and drink watered-down water out of a tiny little glass.
How do you drink watered-down water?
But Mr. Asman read the paper and came to visit me in my tiny little laboratory.
And offered you money to help fund your work.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. I handled the theoretical side of things, and Mr. Asman provided me with an engineer for the practical.
Well, who's the engineer then?
And the three of us produced that fantastic machine together.
A machine that you brought to the Great Exhibition to demonstrate.
We had to apply to the government for some sort of inspection to be allowed to exhibit, I think. I didn't understand all that side of things. Mr. Asman took care of all of it. He was a wonderful man. Really, I owe him everything.
Watered down water? Yeah, I don't know how that is possible. How does one water down water? By putting more water? Alright, it is time for the ad break. So that's gonna be 3 minutes. And yeah, and then we will continue the game. Diet water? Oh god, what would diet water even be? I don't know. They put like fake minerals in it or something. But yes, I'll see you with those of you with ads in 3 minutes. Otherwise, take a break. I don't know, get something to eat or drink. I already have cookies with me. But yes, we don't have much evidence so far. I don't know if this trial will have a little investigation in between the trials, but we'll see. So if this screwdriver is named Andrew, this is a flathead screwdriver, by the way. There's, what did he call it? But it's a different type of screwdriver, and its name is Michael. Does that mean the handle of that screwdriver is an M shape? And if so, is it... How would you even hold it? Would it be like M here, or would it be like a sideways M? You know what? I could see a sideways M working out. No, I don't really see like... Are you defending the crazy ass scientist? Yes. We are defending him. We're trying to prove that the explosion was an accident. Because if we prove that it's an accident, then the machine will also be protected. Because all Albert cares about right now is that the machine he's worked so hard on doesn't get, what's the right word? Examined, I guess, by the police. Because if the police get to examine it, then they get to see how it works, and then they would be able to like reproduce it and all that. When we talk to him, when he's in his jail cell, he talks about some sort of... I don't know, actually, I think it might have been someone else who added more details to it, but there's basically this law that was established a while ago. And depending on whether he's charged with murder or I guess manslaughter would be the right word, depending on which one, his machine will be protected. That makes sense. The police don't need teleporters. Or do they? I don't know. We don't know what they're doing. If you could teleport, would you want to? I'm thinking about it. Why does manslaughter sound so much worse than murder? I think because it has the word slaughter in it, that's why it like sounds a lot harsher than murder. But it's not worse in legal terms. Because murder is a lot more serious than manslaughter. Kind of makes you wonder why they named everything the way they did. Why one is murder and then one is manslaughter. It does seem a little backwards, yeah. Okay, ads are done. think this was the last thing we had to press him on. Yeah, okay, that was the last thing we had to press him on. Hopefully this reveals something, because if not, I am a little stuck.
Hold it!
When you say that you built the machine together, does that mean you were involved in its construction?
Yes. Well, not exactly. I'm not good with the practical side of machines myself, so the physical construction was done by an engineer.
Little remains of your creation now, though. Following the explosion, repair will be no doubt be impossible.
Yes, I realize that, but still. If someone were to gather all the broken parts, they could discover the secret of my hypothesis. Mr. Asman and I toiled over that machine for so long, we put our hearts and souls into it. I have to protect our work. So what's left of the machine must be kept safe. That's only fair, because what happened was an accident.
That's the extent of the testimony, then. Thank goodness for that. I don't want him doing any more damage. He's already basically proven that he could have been the culprit. But it seems as though all he really cares about is defending his hypothesis. Still, I wonder, what if his hypothesis is just fundamentally flawed? Oh shit, we're about to like tear his whole world down, aren't we? I can't wait to prove this man wrong. Okay. We don't have much to work with. Metal screwdriver. I don't think there's anything in this picture, right? Nothing really. I mean, unless you want to argue that some of his accessories are like metal. But like, I feel like that's a little too far-fetched. Because like, I'm pretty sure his accessories are like metal, you know? But like, I don't know if that's like too far-fetched of a theory. Oh, man, I'm so stupid. So we found a crossbow by the scene of the crime, right? I'm pretty sure someone took a crossbow and fucking like shot that man, you know? But yeah, that's all I can think of. Cannot transport metal, hence the metal weapon would have stayed put. So patron of my research, without it my work wouldn't have been possible. I feel like it has something to do with the fact that it can't transport metal. I'm gonna save. And quite possibly just pull up the walkthrough if I can quickly. Great Ace Attorney. Resolve walkthrough. Because otherwise nothing comes to mind. I feel like I have to disprove the fact that, yeah. Okay, where am I? I am in trial part 1. Ah! No, I am right. Oh my goodness. Okay. Great. Lovely to know I'm not stupid. Okay, because, well, you know what? As they do say, anything that is, once you've eliminated all the impossible, whatever is left has to be the truth.
Objection!
Professor Harebrain, you say that according to your hypothesis, nothing made of metal can be beamed by instantaneous kinesis using the machine you made. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Spot on. Exactly correct.
In that case, I'd ask you to have a look at this photograph that was taken at the scene. In particular, I'd like you to pay attention to the victim's face. You can clearly see that Mr. Asman is wearing a pair of spectacles with a metal rim. I'm not gonna lie, he doesn't look bad for somebody who apparently snapped his spine in half, you know? Like, he fell, like, pretty high up, and he only looks like this? Good for him.
What? Metal? No, metal can't. Metal? No!
We've already established that the proposed murder weapon, the screwdriver, was found on the stage. However, if your hypothesis correctly predicted that outcome, it should also have predicted that the metal-rimmed spectacles would be found in the same place.
Ah, my hypothesis! My hypothesis!
Professor Hairbrain, this isn't easy for me to say, but your hypothesis is clearly flawed.
Oh!
Order! Order! Council, what is the implication of this?
If on the day in question the alleged instantaneous kinesis never actually took place, then it's entirely possible that the victim was killed somewhere other than on the stage. Oh, the humanity! Literally, we just shattered his whole world perception. In that case, someone other than the defendant could have been the culprit.
But my hypothesis! My hypothesis is sound! I proved it that day. The experiment was a success. The experiment was a proof of all my work. If I could say something here in my capacity as a fellow of the Royal Society.
Yes, juror number 4.
As a man of science, there's one thing I simply cannot abide. And that's a fraud who pretends to be a fellow man of science. What? Wait, Great Scott! Are you suggesting my science is suspect? It's just been disproved, hasn't it? In front of all of us. In other words, the whole demonstration was a complete nonsense from start to finish.
Or as he likes to say it,
poppycock. Believe me, my fellow jurors, when I tell you that this man is a heel, a bounder, and a fraud. I say the wreckage of that machine should be stripped down and thoroughly examined. No, never. That machine is the essence of my entire hypothesis. It's protected by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act.
What the devil is that blasted act all about, eh? Who made up such a daft rule?
I don't like the way this seems to be going. What's the best way for me to help the professor?
Fuck if I know, man.
We'll just raise an objection for the heck of it. Cause waiting never does anything.
Objection!
Professor Hairbrain has yet to perfect his invention. That would seem to be the case, yes. But even so.
Even so, what?
Going to such trouble and expense to create a fake machine to display in public. You would have absolutely no reason to do such a thing.
Objection!
He had an obvious reason to do exactly that. For the research grant money.
If the government was foolish enough to have deemed this man's ridiculous notion plausible, he and his conspirators would have received a handsome sum indeed. Conspirators?
What would be the value of such a grant? £10?
You're an order of magnitude out, madam. £500 a year!
Holy shit, that's a lot of money.
Oh, you can live handsome on that much for years.
The Society's noticed an increase in bogus public demonstrations in the field of science recently, and plenty of scientists arguing with each other to get the largest slice of the funding cake. People's greed is plenty motive enough for murder, I assure you. No, I haven't deceived anyone, least of all the government. My hypothesis is sound. The science is sound. Please, you must believe me.
Objection!
No matter how unbelievable this hypothesis may seem to you, ladies and gentlemen, the fact remains that the victim was transported instantly to the Crystal Tower.
Yeah, it's called an explosion. That's what happens when things explode. People fly.
Which means that the experiment was a success.
Ah, Beric!
And therefore, the only person who could possibly have committed this murder is the accused,
Ah, Derek.
Where is this heading? I have no idea.
My lord, if I may.
Yes, Lord Van Zeeks.
The prosecution would like to summon new witnesses to the stand.
New witnesses? What would be the nature of their involvement?
They were spectators of the demonstration at the exhibition, who were occupying special seats.
Eyewitnesses.
Very well. The court grants the prosecution's request. I should very much like to hear from eyewitnesses to the incident.
The prosecution's stance is clear. This experiment was no pastiche.
Oh my goodness, a new word for my vocabulary. I'm gonna go Google it right now because I'm gonna forget if I don't. Pastiche. What is this? Something false, a sham. It's also a small hairpiece or a toupee. Or also false beard or wig. That's great. Oh my god. Excuse me, I'd like to wear a pastiche. Okay, that's gonna be filed away in my memory forever for like useless things that I don't need to know. I too have a pastiche. And this is the proof. Pastiche. Okay. I love that. And I think it's still used to this day. Because when I Google it, it's like a bunch of like websites selling like wigs and stuff. I think it's mostly French though. Maybe it's a French word. Maybe. Seems like it. Okay, yeah, it's a French word that means wig or toupee. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. It did sound French. That makes sense. All right, new word of the day, pastiche.
The accused killed the financier victim there on the public stage before the very eyes of the spectators. Now, my learned friend.
Yes?
It's time for you to make your own stance clear.
There's clearly a flaw in the professor's hypothesis. I can definitely see that. But where does that leave me?
We shall take a short recess now, during which time the prosecution will prepare its new witness to take the stand.
As you wish, my lord.
Good. In that case, court is adjourned for 20 minutes.
It sounds like you would have to have like so much concentration to be, I don't know, just to work in court. Like I could not imagine sitting there having to listen and follow a story for hours on end and then like come to a decision. Could not be me. I hope I get a visitor. It's very lonely not having somebody there with me.
Mr. Naruhodo? What on earth were you playing at just now? Or rather, what on earth were you playing at all along? My hypothesis! My amazing hypothesis! You've been picking holes in it from the start!
Sorry about that.
But you promised me. You said you'd prove that dratted explosion was an accident, not murder. You said you'd keep my precious invention from falling into anyone else's hands. But all you've done so far is try to undermine me.
Yes, I did make you a promise. You're right. I said that I'd believe in you and fight for your freedom to the very end. But I also told you I was no scientist. I don't understand your hypothesis. The fact is, there's an undeniable flaw in your logic, isn't there?
But if I just run through some equations... Yes, you see, it's because my work is incomplete.
Perhaps it is. Nevertheless, a man died as a consequence, didn't he?
Oh no! so right. It's all my fault.
Ah, oh my goodness. Hello, Pippo. Thank you for the raid. Did you have a good stream? What were you guys talking about over there? Welcome, everybody. We are in the middle of a recess of a trial. Pippo sends his regards. Thank you. Hello, friend citizen, and hello, Burger. How are you guys doing today? I am Marble, and we are playing Great Ace Attorney. We are watching Paternity Court. Is that the one, Gosh, what is Paternity Court? Is that where they... That's not... Is that different from, like, custody battles? Because I'm assuming paternity. Paternity has something to do with dads. You're a cow? I used to be one of those. Oh no! Is that where I'm heading next? Is my next form to be a burger? It's the same thing? Oh, okay. Was it interesting? I can imagine that you get some like really weird cases sometimes. Hello, Mucosa. How are you doing? Love the heterochromia. Thank you. It's very fun having multicolored eyes. But yes, we are currently defending this man right here. He's accused of killing somebody, as is the case with every episode of this game. But he basically tried to create a teleporter, and instead of teleporting somebody, the machine exploded, and the person who was supposed to be teleported did end up at their destination, but they were dead on arrival. And so we're trying to prove that the explosion was an accident. I have it partially IRL, and I agree. I don't think I know anybody who has heterochromia in real life. I do see a lot of models with it though. It's always a big thing in Vip's chat. We bet on who's the daddy is a whole thing every stream, and it's great. It's a great way to make use of channel points, isn't it? Those predictions. It's is it the same vibe as that what is that show? There's like that one show, right? It's centered around the whole thing where it's like if someone's the dad or not. It's not like court, but it's like it's kind of like a talk show a little bit. Until you lose 30 points on a sure thing. No. It's okay. This is the next one. I made big money tonight. That's good to hear. More money to bet on later. Maury Povich show. Oh, is that what it's called? But yeah, I just remember seeing those clips where it's like, you're not the father. And then like the dance moves are busted out. Maybe I should give it a watch. But yes, I'm glad you guys had fun. I'm sorry to hear about some of your losses. I hope you recoup them. Is great junk food TV? I bet it is. But yes, as I said, we are currently in a recess because new witnesses are being brought in. He's basically just upset at us right now because we poked a bunch of holes in his hypothesis. I won, but I also lost, but I still have 134,000 points, so it's all good. That's quite a lot of points. I don't know, are any of you brave enough to just go all in? Like to bet all your points? I've never actually tried the prediction thing. I've seen it a few times, but I've never tried it myself personally. Alright, I'm gonna go back to reading this. Do feel free to keep talking about your big losses or big wins. I lost all mine 3 days ago. Oh no. I went half in last night and lost it all. Rest in peace. Sometimes it's too hard predicting who's their dad, huh? I have a limit of taking myself down to 69, 69. 0 points. That's how I won most of my points. So that's good.
Alright. I have no right to blame you for my failures. I'm a disaster, not just as a scientist, but as a human being.
Well, that might be a little over the top.
And while we're on the subject, what about Derek? He's being awful.
Okay, context, the prosecutor is his friend. Claiming his old university friend to be a murderer, you mean?
He's a disaster, not just as a prosecutor, but as a human being. Oh, but no, wait. He's the Reaper, isn't he? Perhaps he's not classified as Homo sapiens anymore.
Glad that's cleared up. Can I double check something with you?
Ah, yes. What?
The machine and demonstration you prepared. They were based entirely on your hypothesis, I presume. There was no trickery involved.
I drew the plans for the machine with my very own hands. Every line was painstakingly drawn with a firm belief that science is the only future. So yes, it's true that my hypothesis hasn't reached maturity yet, but please, Mr. Naruhodo, you must believe in it.
I should rest. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your stream. Thank you. I hope you have a good sleep. Thank you for coming with the raid, Burger Bro. All right, Professor. I understand.
Counsel, defendant. The prosecution's witnesses are ready to take the stand. The court is about to be in session again.
You do a great British accent, by the way. Thank you. I don't know what a proper British accent is supposed to sound like, and I know there are many of them, but I try. Yeah, when I learned that this game takes place in Britain, I was like, oh no.
Make your way into the courtroom, please.
It all hinges on that demonstration. If the professor's hypothesis is sound as he claims, it leaves him as the only person who could possibly have killed the victim. On the other hand, Mr. Sholmes was animate.
A practical implementation, such as was attempted by the professor at the Great Exhibition, is quite impossible.
It's better than Bips. It doesn't make me want to fight you. Oh no, I haven't heard Bip do a British accent. Does it really, is it really that bad? I'm a Brit. Oh, well, glad I have your stamp of approval. Thank you. So really, what should I be trying to prove here? Imagine someone making fun of Southern England accent. That's Pips. I'm not sure what Southern England sounds like, but I'll take your word for it. Is it an accent he defaults to a lot?
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready for the new witnesses to testify?
Prosecution is ready, my lord.
As is the defense, my lord.
So, Lord Fanceets, I believe these next witnesses saw the demonstration on the day in question with their own eyes.
Indeed, they did. And as luck would have it, one of them is a police detective. So the testimony we are about to hear can be considered highly reliable.
Perfect. A detective of all people. It's the main British villain accent, sometimes called Queen's English or received pronunciation. I will go Google it later and take a listen.
The prosecution's stance remains unchanged. Though it ended in tragedy, the demonstration on the day in question was scientifically sound. And consequently, the sole person with the opportunity to have committed this act of murder is the only other individual to have been present on the stage at the time, the accused.
Thank you, counsel. The prosecution's position is clear. So, bring forth your witnesses now.
Bailiff, show the witnesses in. The witnesses whose proximity to the incident on the day in question will clarify the truth unequivocally.
I keep thinking there's a B in that word, but there's not. Oh my goodness, hello? And there's Gina. I love Gina.
Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court to hear.
My name is Balthazar Loon. I am the impresario of other hot air balloons in vicinity of the experimental stage.
Don't ask me why that came out of my mouth, it just did. The man sounds as if he's been filled with hot air. Oh no! He is German! I can't do German! Ow! No! I can do... Okay, he's gonna sound a little French. That's my best. That's my best.
My name is Wilhelm Goswitz Sigmund Grossman.
Oh god, I can't do it.
Ormstein. I have come to see the great exhibition of Sylvain from my home in Bohemia. I'm very rich.
I can see that. You just handed a gold coin for a balloon.
I was feeling perfectly normal till then.
Yeah.
Inspector Gina Lestrade, Scotland Yard. I'm a great detective. Even Sherlock Holmes agrees. I was on security duty at the exhibition, and I got to get up in one of them balloons. It was amazing.
Gina. Again. But she did mention that she'd seen the disaster from up in a balloon, actually, didn't she? And she clearly loved every minute of it.
There were 3 balloons flying near the public experimentation stage when the incident occurred. Two of these witnesses were in one such balloon at the time and saw events unfold from the skies above.
You make it sound like they were in the clouds. It was only an altitude of circa 60 feet, very low.
Well, you can't see nothing if you fly too high, can you?
60 feet. About 18 meters then. Okay. So if I... This is how I do math. Okay, if I am 1.6 meters, because like I'm around 160 centimeters, so I'm like... That's about 10 me's stacked on top of each other, right? Yeah, that's about... I think I'm mathing right. That's about 10 me's stacked on top of each other. That doesn't help put things into perspective. I still don't know how high that is. I'm just gonna go with it's very high.
Thank you for your introductions. Now you will give your formal testimony for the court. Kindly describe exactly what you witnessed, especially those of you who had a vantage point above the stage.
Is he royalty? He's got like a little coat of arms on his like vest.
It was an incident terrible.
Is he French? Is he French? Oh my god, he is French. Yeah, his name is Loon.
It was an accident terrible. I am only grateful that my balloons were not damaged.
Oh, he suddenly turned British. Oops. I get so mixed up between when I have to do French and British.
There's this huge bang from the stage, and then the next second, another bang in the sky beside us.
And from amidst the smoke, a cage appeared out of nowhere.
I got it. They sound too similar.
The cage, it fell from the sky like a stone. It crashed into the crystal tower.
I didn't get a good look inside the cage, but no one went near it after it crashed into the tower.
A most extraordinary collective account, I must say.
Could I just clarify something? There's a detail in the witness's testimony that I've not heard any mention of until now. Specifically that there were 2 explosions.
More precisely, 2 explosions in 2 separate places. When the demonstration began, the balloon carrying the 2 witnesses was around here. There were other balloons in the air nearby at the time, carrying other passengers as well, to be clear. Then, as power was supplied to the machine for the demonstration, the first explosion occurred. The so-called birdcage that contained the victim disappeared from the stage, and a moment later, the second explosion occurred directly adjacent to the balloon carrying the witnesses. The birdcage appeared at the site of the explosion, subsequently to plummet down to the crystal tower.
I was very surprised. Suddenly a cage appeared before my eyes with a person inside. The blast was so hot, but I didn't want to miss a thing, so I kept my eyes wide.
Damn, every time he loses a balloon, it's just another gold coin. Holy shit.
I still have lots of money.
Go buy something better than a balloon with your money, hun. I'm surprised no one's tried to rob this kid yet. Like, holy crap. This tiny little German kid who's like full of gold coins? And you don't want to like shake him like a piggy bank?
Precisely. Who is this curious infant?
I'm told he is a young noble of Bohemian royalty.
Okay, so he's like a little prince.
Apparently, he disguised himself in order to steal unnoticed into the great exhibition.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
yeah. I am here in London on a sightseeing trip with my elementary school.
We will have the benefit of a child's point of view in the testimony.
Do we really need that?
When I remove my mask, this is what I look like.
Ah, yes, I see. A delightful face, I'm sure.
Yeah, everybody says so.
He's so cute. Great disguise, then.
The point is, the testimony of these witnesses further substantiates the facts for the court. Namely, that despite ending in an explosion, instantaneous kinesis was successfully demonstrated. And furthermore, that until the arrival of the police, no one approached the crystal tower where the victim fell. Therefore, only the accused who was with Mr. Asman on the stage could possibly have committed the murder.
Yes, thank you, counsel. The prosecution's views on the matter are quite clear. So, the defense's cross-examination now, please.
Yes, my lord. Yeah, I should have known this man was French by his name.
Hold it!
His name is basically Moon, isn't it? There were 3 balloons flying above the experimentation stage at the time, I understand.
See.
What? Are you French or are you Spanish? Or is that the running gag? Or is that the running gag with him?
See, all 3 of them. My bellissimi, babini. They are very popular, signor.
Is he French or is he Spanish? What?
They are very popular, signor. Some people will pay £10 for one ride.
£10? That's more than my annual stipend.
£20 a month. That is my pocket money.
Royals of all the luck.
I got up there for free, I did. They the old I work for Her Majesty's police card, you know?
Detectives have all the luck. If they're so popular, why would you only be operating such a small number of balloons, though? I'm assuming not just anybody can operate them.
Because if I have too many in the skies, they could crash into each other.
The operators for the balloons were decided by lots, with each operator manning a particular area.
See, and the zone above public experimentation stage is the most profitable. The other impresarios, they hate me.
Thank you, witness. I think the court has a clear picture of the arrangements for balloon rides at the exhibition. Perhaps we could hear more about what you actually witnessed of the incident.
Could also be Italian? Oh, he could be. He could be, actually.
Right, I can fill you in there, my lord.
Alright, the huge bangs. Oh no, I skipped. Ignore that. That was stuff falling off my desk.
Hold it!
So you actually saw the accident happen from up in the air.
Yup, isn't it amazing what a detective gets to do, eh? I'm telling you, Odo, being a lawyer's a mug's game. You should join the force and we can go flying together.
You know me so well. Yes, well, anyway, could you tell us exactly what you saw, do you think?
Everything. We saw everything, because we were up above it all. That dodgy cove climbing into that cage and that dodgy professor pulling all them levers. And that's when it happened. That's when there was that massive bang and the cage disappeared, just like that.
You are describing the moment the subject's body was decomposed by the electricity, I believe.
I didn't know what to make of it. And then there was another bang right in the ear. I looked round and there was a huge great fireball right next to us in the sky.
That's Peter.
And there was nothing there before. Oh, excuse me.
Excuse me.
Master Gotts, does your memory of the day differ? It's so weird hearing a detective say what? Yeah, Jean only recently became a detective, also through her connection through Sholmes.
My teacher at elementary school, it said that when you meet someone for the first time, you should always use your full name.
Yes, what was it again?
Wilhelm Gottfried Sigismund... Oh my god. Sigismund Ormstein.
Just the 4 names then? The point is, do you have something to say? Something to add in response to Detective Gina Lestrade's last remark, perhaps?
Oi, get it right, Odo. It's Inspector Lestrade.
Why does everyone have a problem with how I address them at the moment?
That is not what I saw.
Oh?
Yeah, there was a second explosion and it was right beside our balloon. That is true. But I'm sure.
Which is what I said, innit? 1 minute there was nothing there, the next a massive explosion.
My teacher at elementary school said that when someone else is speaking, if you are rude enough to interrupt, you will have the most awful life imaginable.
Are all Bohemians brought up to be so full of joy? Damn, what an easy job.
Just before the second explosion happened next to our balloon, I clearly witnessed a green balloon flying in the sky.
A green balloon?
Yeah, you what? I never saw nothing like that.
Well, I did. I saw it. And you can't say I didn't. I will complain to the consul. I will cry and scream. My testimony is the truth. I am Bohemian Prince. You cannot say it's a lie. That is not allowed.
Playing the bleeding royalty card, are you? Typical.
Says the orphan who likes to remind people she works for Her Majesty's police.
In that case, young man, I must ask you to amend your formal testimony. In the interest of cordial national relations between Great Britain and Bohemia.
Okay, so he saw a green balloon. It was not the sky that exploded, it was a green balloon next to us. Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
Hold it!
A green balloon, you say? Are you sure about that?
Of course I am sure. I am proud Bohemian Prince. All these questions are making me boring.
I think you mean bored.
English is very annoying. The language of my countrymen is far superior.
I'm gonna go Google that word. Because I don't... That's not his name. Okay. Italian. Okay, I think he is Italian then. I have never done an Italian accent before, so... Oh, man.
Ragazzo, it is very wrong to lie.
I can't do it. It's fine.
lie.
Lying balloons never explode. For the same reason the planets never explode. It is logical.
Please tell me that doesn't mean logical.
If you insult me, you insult all of Bohemia.
But die.
I will have the army come and shoot all of your stupid balloons out of the sky. All of them.
Italian is like French and Spanish had a baby. Oh, okay, maybe that's why I was so confused between the two. Threaten to shoot his balloons and then give him a gold coin for another one.
Here you are, Your Highness.
If only all international incidents were so easily resolved. Yeah, and that's how we avoided a war. Giving the little boy a balloon.
Now that peaceful relations have been bestowed here in the courtroom, perhaps we could return to the testimony. Did you also see the moment that the cage materialized, Mr. Liu?
No. I did not see the explosion. Oh my god, explosion myself. However,
hey, the cage fell from the sky like a stone. Did you see that actually happen?
no, in reality, I did not. I saw after it hit the tower. There was a grand confusion around the stage. I ran to see what had happened. I was terrorized by the idea that one of my balloons had crashed.
I suppose they are his livelihood.
But when I looked up to the sky, all my precious balloons were still there.
I saw it though. I saw it slam into the tower. After all, I am a detective now.
Then tell us what you saw, Inspector Lestrade.
That's what I like to hear.
Hold it!
Was it you who gave the order to keep people away?
Huh? Use your head, Odo. How could it have been me? I was up in the balloon one time.
Right.
So, because I weren't available, it was the boss who had to leg it over there. He was getting shoved and kicked all over by the panicking spectators as he tried to seal off the scene. It's a real sight to behold, I can tell you. Amazing.
Poor Inspector Gregson.
So anyway, I couldn't see the cage that well because of all the smoke. And I didn't really want to see, to be honest. I was scared out of me wits.
Keep it together, Inspector. The prosecution really is asserting that the demonstration was genuine. But what if it was actually some kind of switch-around trick instead? And that would mean that the victim was never actually on the stage in the first place. The two explosions would have thrown everyone watching into a panic for sure. I think I need to find out more about what exactly people saw at the time. Okay. Am I supposed to present maybe... Because I did find this patch of green cloth. I thought this was like material for a balloon. You said it was a green balloon. Maybe I'm supposed to present it. Let me save. Because that is the only thing I can think of. I'm gonna try to present it.
Objection!
Nope, that is not right.
No! It is your task, counsel, to explain that somehow to the court, not the other way around.
It just seems to jar though, don't you think?
What I think is that this whole exchange has been extremely jarring, yes.
Perhaps I need to reconsider this. Maybe I have to press somebody again. Never mind, it's just I picked the wrong statement to present it on. Walkthrough says this one. None of my balloons were damaged.
Objection!
Mr. Loon, in your testimony, you said that all 3 of the balloons you had operating at the time were undamaged.
See, that is correct. If they had been caught in the explosions, it would have been terrible.
I wonder if you might know what this is.
I think it may be... See, a part of a balloon. A burnt piece of the fabric of the envelope.
Sorry? The envelope?
Pardon, that is the large round part of the balloon which becomes filled with hot air. It is made from very thick fabric lined with rubber. You do not want it to rip when you are in the sky.
Just as I thought. This piece of cloth was found near the experimentation stage. In other words, as Mr. Gotts testified, a green balloon did indeed explode that day. If all the balloons in the sky above the experimentation stage belonged to you, Mr. Loon, then your statement that they were all undamaged clearly contradicts the evidence.
No!
Damn.
The balloon exploded that day. Why didn't the man say so?
Maybe everyone on board was killed.
Oh no, having just spent £10 for the whole experience. How awful.
Seems to me like those things crash 50% of the time anyway.
The instantaneous kinesis did occur, but after the explosion on the stage, the point of materialization shifted to a location occupied by a balloon.
Causing the balloon to explode? Yes, eminently plausible.
An unfortunate traffic accident, as it were, but it changes nothing about the pertinent facts.
This, I cannot accept.
Why not, Mr. Loon?
You are suggesting that I'm a liar. That person's died in a balloon incident.
There's no need to get fired up, Mr. Loon. The victim was the sole fatality that day.
That's right, and I prove it. Balthazar Loon is not a liar. There was no such balloon in the sky. It is not possible.
You're saying it's impossible. Why?
This court has more important matters to discuss than the number of balloons that were operating that day.
Aye!
Objection!
But we can't ignore the fact that nobody appears to have known anything about this other balloon until now. My lord, the defense calls for further testimony from Mr. Loon.
I concur. There is clearly more to the truth here than meets the eye. It's imperative that we clear up the issue of this phantom balloon, I feel. Witness, you will give supplementary testimony about the balloons you were operating at the exhibition. Grazie, my lord.
Mr. Loon's balloons. Oh! Man, his name has so many meanings, because at first I thought it was Loon, as in French for moon. But then also he runs a balloon company, and so that could also be Loon. And oh my god, so many. I don't know, whoever came up with his name, great job.
As I said, Balthazar Loon is no liar. Every balloon I had in the sky landed safely. All 3 of my balloons were carrying passengers. They fell to the ground in the explosion. What a catastrophe.
Oh, if. But you can't get away from the fact that a burnt up bit of cloth was found at the scene, can you? The coppers at the yard reckon there was probably some debris thrown from the explosion on the stage.
This stupid ragazzo was mistaken. My balloons have the red and blue zigzag stripes anyway. So your assertion is that the balloon this child saw was not one belonging to you? Si, exactement. If you ever saw a balloon in the first place, I do not like the sound of it. It is very bad for business. I have a good mind to sue the land of Bohemia.
If you attack us, we will fight back. I will be all out for.
I love this. What happened to all-out war? Mr. Loon certainly doesn't appear to be lying. But that doesn't change the fact that the testimony and evidence are contradictory here.
If If the defense is unable to find fault with the witnesses' statements, the court must consider them the truth. Think long and hard on that, my learned friend.
The situation has clearly changed now. I have to get to the bottom of what happened here, no matter what it takes.
Counsel, you may now cross-examine the witnesses.
Man, I can't see the sentence Mr. Loon's balloons without thinking something else.
Hold it!
You couldn't just have forgotten one, maybe?
Signor, I might not notice if I was given 100 lentils and one was missing. But we are talking about 3 enormous balloons. Do you believe I could make a mistake about something so grand and expensive?
I took the liberty of having Inspector Gregson check this gentleman's warehouse. I have the report here. It clearly says a total of 3 balloons.
It would appear no mistake has been made then.
Surely Miss Lestrade must have been sent for such a menial task.
What? Me? I'll tell you what I told the boss. East End kids like me can only count up to 2. Obviously that ain't true, but the boss bought it and said he'd have to go himself in that case.
That's hilarious. Oops. Maybe I should stick to the keyboard when playing this game. Sometimes the mouse clicks don't register very well. It would be quite a catastrophe if they fell to the ground for any reason, I think. On that note, Mr. Loon, tell me, what is it that keeps these balloons in the sky?
Are you an idiota?
Sorry?
That is like asking why does a candle burn bright? It burns bright because it burns bright. And a balloon flies because it flies. What else?
That must be Italian for I don't know.
There are 2 types of flying balloons, hot air balloons and gas balloons. Hot air balloons work on the principle of hot air being less dense than cold air, whereas gas balloons derive their lift by using a gas that is lighter than the air.
See, and my balloons are filled with the magic gas, I believe.
Hydrogen, lighter than air, but highly explosive.
Good lord. I do not permit smoking of the cigarettes in any of my balloons. The magic gas does not like fire.
Even a small spark of static electricity could cause the entire balloon to explode.
Oh, wow, I would not want to be in one of those.
What is the matter with you, Signor? All that comes out of your mouth is explosion, explosion. I tell you, my balloons are perfectly safe. They have to be, or I cannot eat. Now that my balloons exploded that day, I am completely sure. But if you still say that is what happened, you must show me the proof.
Alright, so Mr. Loon had 3 balloons in the air that day. If none of them were damaged, then what was the one that exploded?
Hold it!
I was surprised to find the piece of fabric still at the scene, actually. Didn't you search the area surrounding the stage for clues?
Nah, I'm not into picking stuff up off the ground, me. Always works out way better diving into people's pockets instead.
So much for the new career path.
Mind you, the boss was on his hands and knees picking up all kinds of rubbish from the floor. Thing is, though, the cage went crashing into the crystal tower, didn't it? So that's where most of the investigating was going on.
Even so, I would have thought someone from Scotland Yard would have gathered it up as evidence.
Cor, listen to you. Just stumble across a bit of balloon and suddenly you're the best investigator in the world.
Pardon?
Well, you ain't got a badge, have you? Like this one. I could arrest you with this if I wanted to.
I wouldn't put it past her.
Come to think of it, there was talk of some scorching on the ground at a meeting we had about the investigation.
Hold it!
There was considerable damage to the stage and surrounding area, wasn't there?
Yeah, some of the cubes what were watching the experiment were caught in the blast and injured.
Good job the old contraption didn't keel over, eh?
I hadn't even considered that.
It seems there was great panic after the incident occurred. Nevertheless, the police shouldn't have missed a torn piece of the envelope from a balloon. Inspector Gregson can expect repercussions.
Like me swiping all these fish and chips, eh?
The man's sole pleasure.
None of this matters. That scrap of balloon envelope means nothing. None.
Also, heads up, we have an ad break in 5 minutes. You mean the color is wrong?
Si, senor. I do not have any green balloons in my warehouse.
And yet a piece of green cloth was found at the scene. And it's unmistakably from a balloon.
Well, I do not know how that can be.
For the sake of argument, let's say that a green balloon did explode above the stage. You couldn't therefore conclude that it happened on the day in question.
Why not?
There have been recreational balloon flights over Hyde Park operating from before the Great Exhibition. One could have exploded on some earlier date. Unfortunate, as I'm sure you'd agree.
You believe it may have been from some earlier balloon accident that predates the exhibition?
The exhibition has been going on for months. Like, you're telling me this burnt piece of balloon has been sitting there for months on the floor and nobody, did anything with it?
Si, exactement. As the senor says, it is not from one of my balloons. Clearly, this little Rakoso from Bohemia is mistaken about what he saw.
Oh no, he's angry. He's angry.
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Master Gox?
It's Master Wilhelm Gottfried Sigismund Ormstein.
It was on the tip of my tongue.
Oh, something is very wrong. I know what I saw. There was a green balloon there. I swear it. I swear all over Bohemia.
You can speak as much bad language as you like, but it changes nothing. If you do not have evidence, Rakoso, then I must tell your parents to punish you, eh?
Perhaps we'll let the judge decide when it comes to punishments.
Evidence. What is this evidence?
To give a simple explanation, example, young man. A photograph, for instance, some tangible proof of what you claim.
Then why didn't you say so sooner? I have the photograph here.
Good gracious! What?
I had not been up in the balloon for a little while, so I was very excited. I took lots and lots of photographs. Of the Crystal Tower, of the Bohemia exhibit, of the streets of London, of the Hot Eels... What is that? Hot Eel cellar, the balloon.
And the instantaneous kinesis experiment. Did you take a picture of that?
Yeah, one picture.
Really? You did take one?
But all I wanted was a ride in a balloon. I was not interested in boring experiments.
Never mind that. Can you show us that photograph?
Of course. And then you will see. You will see that I am not lying. That I really did see a green balloon.
Oh, it's empty.
Well, I see you are too shocked to speak. Yes, I think shocked is indeed the word, young man.
Yeah, perhaps you cannot see that it was a green balloon from this photograph, but that is not my fault. It is the fault of the stupid person who made the camera. Oh!
He cries in German. Wait, how do you pronounce that? I don't know. Oh my god. That is one very bohemian sounding cry.
Wow!
I don't know how to cry in Bohemian.
Very well. The court will accept this photograph as evidence.
It's not my fault. It's the fault of the person who made the camera.
Well, never mind. I'm sure you have plenty of wonderful sepia memories to take home with you. In any case, when exactly did you take that photograph?
Well, it was on the day of the big explosion.
You don't say.
Then I pressed the shutter release. That was this very loud bang. And the hot wind rushed over my face.
Oh, the ads are starting soon. I forgot to manually start them, so any second now. Maybe in 30 seconds. Who knows? I don't know. Twitch gives me that starting soon, but who knows when soon really is. But yes, oh my god, I'm so sorry, God. Let's take a look at this photograph. Okay. So that's the machine. I'm assuming that's supposed to be the ray from the machine. I don't know. You can see that the guy's there, though, strapped in his little bird cage. There's the professor. What is that, though? Like, it's heading for the balloon, I think, though. It's like this little light. Oh. So, we found a crossbow. And at first, I initially thought that the crossbow was to shoot the victim, and that is what pierced his heart. But now I'm wondering if maybe the crossbow was to, like, explode this balloon up here. Right, so since the ads are running, I am going to go take a quick bathroom break. So I'm gonna go pee. I will see you guys in like a minute or so. Feel free to also go take a break. What is it? We've been streaming for almost 3 hours. Yeah, I think maybe I'll play for like another half hour and then call it a night. We still have a minute and a half of ads. That's alright. You know what? Our people list should be updated. What does it say about God? He's just called Bohemian Boy. That's so funny. I love the alliteration. Bohemian Boy. A young prince from the royal family of Bohemia with an excessively long name. He witnessed the explosion at the Great Exhibition. That's hilarious. I do wonder how the wax figures are gonna play into this. She's a lot younger than I thought. She's 26. Then we have Balthazar Loon. I still have my hunches about who this guy is, but we'll see. We probably won't even learn this episode. I feel like maybe near the end of the game, we'll find out who this guy is. An apprentice of Lord Van Zeek's whose face is always covered by a mask. I don't know if we'll learn more about Barrick in this episode, because it's clear that we learned why he became a prosecutor, but we don't know the details. Also, ads are done now. Welcome back. I don't remember what we were in the middle. What was the history? Oh, okay, Kotz was basically talking about the moment when he took the picture. Alright. And that means this photograph was taken a split second before the explosion occurred.
Well, if you ask me, this black and white photograph changes nothing. I could not give the flying fig.
Lovely language you picked up. As I thought, Mr. Loon's testimony just doesn't quite add up. The young Bohemian boy claims to have seen another, fourth balloon, but Mr. Loon vehemently denies the possibility. And it's hard to imagine the man in charge could be mistaken about the number that were in the air. Still, this inconsistency must tell us something, I'm sure. Okay, what do we have in evidence so far? We got the picture. Maybe we have to do something about the picture. Exploded moments after he took the shot. Is there something in that photograph I'm, like, missing? Balloon is empty, it seems. You can't really make out anybody in the crowd. Everybody's strapped there. Am I maybe supposed to mention this, like, beam of light that, like, seems to be coming out? All three of my balloons were carrying passengers if they fell to the ground. Okay, well that one wasn't carrying anybody. I'm pretty sure we're supposed to use a photograph of something. I did mention that that one balloon wasn't carrying anybody, so it's worth a shot to present the picture on that. I'm gonna give it a try. Where is it? Here you are. Oop, I didn't mean to do that. Present.
Objection!
Unfortunately, the photograph Master Gotts took can't tell us the color of the balloon. But it can tell us something else. Something crucially important. What? It shows that the pictured balloon wasn't carrying any passengers.
Ah, my goodness, you're right. But surely all the balloons would have been carrying passengers. There'd be no sense in it otherwise. See, they offer pleasure for seeing the view. My balloons only fly with passengers.
Which tells us that the pictured balloon isn't one of them. So when the incident occurred that day, there was a fourth balloon in the skies above the experimentation stage. A mysterious green balloon.
I know nothing. I can only tell you one thing.
Oh, I missed a line.
I know nothing. Yet, I can only tell you one thing. If this balloon was not carrying passengers, then it was not one of mine.
Do you see that? The balloon on his head?
There are legal tradesmen everywhere you care to look. Clearly, one such entrepreneur decided to capitalize on the opportunity presented by the Great Exhibition and managed to operate balloon flights on Mr. Loon's patch without him realizing.
See, the competition.
Oh my god,
Competition, trying to steal my profits. I did not notice because of the experimental that went wrong on the stage.
This fourth balloon exploded at the very same moment Mr. Asman was beamed from the stage below.
Right. So them scraps that fell to the ground after and left them scorch marks. They didn't come from the stage at all. It was bits of the balloon raining down. Because no one was in it, it didn't get no attention.
A mysterious fourth balloon carrying no passengers, silently floating over the experimentation stage.
Objection!
This photograph shows us nothing more. A stray balloon carrying no one and operated by some rogue traitor. Clearly, it has nothing to do with the case.
Its relevance does elude me, I must say.
The court has seen sufficient evidence and heard ample testimony already. The prosecution calls for this trial to be concluded.
Damn, nobody's fucking paying attention. Really? Have we really got to the truth yet? No, I can't let this opportunity slip away. The jurors' minds are made up, and not in our favor. What else can this photograph tell us? Is there something more we can learn from it? Well, there's that beam of light.
Objection!
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, wait, please don't give your decisions yet. The photograph from Master Gotz may well be hiding one more vital clue.
What's that? A vital clue.
Objection!
We're well past the point of mere possibilities. It's time for definitives now, so tell the court. What exactly does this alleged clue in the photograph prove?
Cause of the explosion. We can reasonably assume that the pictured balloon was destroyed in the searing heat of the explosion.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was not my fault.
Evidently. Because the birdcage from the kinesis machine materialized in the sky where it had been flying. And the balloon being filled with flammable hydrogen instantly and explosively ignited.
Objection!
No, that's not what happened.
What?
It would appear that this photograph requires close examination. Counsel for the defense, you will highlight the location of this alleged clue in the photograph for the court.
Of course, my lord. If you look closely, it's plain enough to see. What's shown is linked to another piece of evidence we have, in a way that leads to an unbelievable conclusion. A clue that heavily suggests the real reason the balloon exploded is... it's this beam of light thingy.
Take that!
The timing of this photograph can only be described as miraculous. If you look, you'll notice there's a bright white line that appears to point directly at the balloon.
Most likely, a ray of light caught incidentally on the film.
I'm afraid I can see nothing of the sort.
If you look with a magnifying glass, my lord, it becomes clear what the nature of this bright line really is.
Goodness, what is that?
Undeniably some flash of light, yes.
Oh golly, do you think it might be like lightning?
But it couldn't have been a finer day. I believe we may be looking at fire. A bolt of fire heading straight for the balloon, like an arrow.
Indeed, even to my aging eyes, it would appear to be a flame of some sort. My word, are you suggesting this flame struck the hydrogen gas that filled the balloon?
Objection!
That's absurd. The balloon would have been 60 feet above the ground at the time. No flame could possibly have reached such a height.
Objection!
Actually, it's my opinion that a particular piece of evidence found at the scene reveals how that is exactly what did happen.
What evidence?
If such evidence exists, counsel, then for goodness sake, present it, man. Which evidence explains this mysterious streak of flame that appears to be headed directly for the balloon?
The crossbow.
Take that!
This was found hidden at the foot of a small ornamental tree near the scene.
Good lord, is that a crossbow?
An arrow dipped in oil and set alight could have been shot from this weapon, sending a flaming arrow straight into the hydrogen-filled balloon.
Are you suggesting that crossbow was used to deliberately?
Blimey, you're right. That streak of light in the photo looks just like an arrow, didn't it? Then, the explosion of the balloon, it was.
Very likely the result of a flaming arrow from this crossbow igniting the hydrogen gas inside it. No! It's not very often I see that animation.
Order! Order! Council, this is an extraordinary supposition.
If the aim was to cause the balloon to explode, the shooter could have used a gun, of course. However, there's an obvious reason why that would have been out of the question. Noise of the discharge, of course. That's right. By using a crossbow, the projectile could be fired at the balloon silently.
Well, yeah, if someone had shot a gun off in the exhibition grounds, it would have caused a real panic.
But what the big explosion? There was a very big panic anyway, no?
I don't like this. I should be pleased to have found a plausible new explanation for all this, but something feels wrong.
Objection!
Do you understand the implications of what you're saying, my Nipponese friend?
If a flaming arrow did indeed hit the balloon, then obviously it would have exploded. And if the birdcage appeared from the cloud of smoke that ensued.
What? Wait a minute. What are you saying? What are you really saying here? I don't get it. Was the birdcage beamed up into the sky after all? Or what?
My goodness me!
Ah, now I understand. That's what that sinking feeling is about. I think there's a good chance that the birdcage was actually concealed inside the balloon all along.
What? Did I just hear that correctly, Council?
There's no going back now. The horse has bolted. Let's assume, as I said, that the birdcage was hidden inside the green balloon from the start. On stage, when the experiment was started, the birdcage and the instantaneous kinesis machine disappeared in a cloud of smoke. At that moment, the flaming arrow was fired from the ground, causing the green balloon to explode and drawing the attention of the spectators to the sky above their heads. From amid the smoke, the hidden birdcage then appeared, to fall down and crash into the crystal tower. I think you'll all agree it's entirely plausible. And that what I've just described is the real truth behind the miraculous experiment carried out that day.
This? Good grief!
Objection!
This is ludicrous. What you've described is no science experiment. It's child's play. A contemptible display of stage magic.
Both Mr. Sholmes and Iris said that the experiment was scientifically impossible. Oh, was a scientific impossibility. In which case, this is the only way to explain what happened that day.
And in any case, the victim's body was found inside the birdcage in the crystal tower. If the instantaneous kinesis didn't take place, how do you explain that? If I may put in a word, as a man of magic myself, such apparent discrepancies can easily be explained by some simple deception.
Juror number 3.
All that would be needed is a doppelganger, someone who looked very similar to the victim, Mr. Asman, and having this other man appear on stage to front the show as a body double.
Yes, of course. So in fact, Mr. Asman must have been inside the birdcage that was concealed inside the balloon right from the start.
Objection!
That balloon would have been filled with hydrogen.
Yeah, he would have suffocated in there, wouldn't he?
Anything hidden inside it would have been scattered to the four winds when it exploded. No one would ever have embarked on such a risky venture.
Not necessarily. The explosive force of the balloon gas would very much depend upon the mixture ratio.
Juror number 4.
Lime balloons are rarely filled with pure hydrogen, but a mixture of other gases such as helium as well. Helium on its own doesn't explode, but by controlling the gas mixture ratio, the explosive force can be altered.
Mixture ratio?
Obviously, the victim's body would have suffered some burns that would be unavoidable, but not to such an extent as to render the whole obscene charade impossible.
So everything that happened can be explained, logically and scientifically. The explosion that engulfed the stage at the start of the experiment was no accident. It was all part of an elaborate deception to make it appear that instantaneous kinesis had occurred.
Well, goodness me.
And if we accept that this is what happened, it means that the victim, Mr. Asman, was never present on the public experimentation stage to begin with. In short, he couldn't have been killed by the defendant who was on stage in full view the entire time. This will be very hard for the prosecution to counter. Lord Van Zieks can't credibly maintain that Professor Harebrain is a suspect now. It's Harebrain, isn't it? Yeah.
Mr. Naruhodo, I appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Professor?
But you can stop now. Just keep your mouth shut, please.
Sorry?
What's all this about, Mr. Harebrain?
I, Albert Harebrain, hereby confess that it was me who stabbed Mr. Odie Asman. Yes, it was me, with my faithful friend and partner, Andrew the screwdriver.
What are you doing? This guy is crazy. He wants to protect his hypothesis so much that he'll admit to murder.
Order! Order! Defendant, explain the sudden confession.
Objection!
Professor Harebrain, what are you talking about?
It's what I've said all along. I must protect my hypothesis and my precious machine. You stand there and claim it was all a trick, all an elaborate prank, but where's your proof? No. You'd have to examine the machine if you wanted to prove it, but then it would all be over. My beautiful hypothesis would be laid bare. I mean, the indignity of it.
It's clear that you drew the plans for the experiment, but you didn't actually build it. It's quite conceivable that you were duped, Professor. If you'll just let me, I can prove...
Varric,
Yes.
I'll cooperate. I'll do whatever you say. I swear it. So please, ensure that the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act is adhered to and protect my creation.
I thought that was only possible if he was found not guilty of murder.
Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice at this critical juncture. Here's to my learned Nipponese friend.
What?
And his upcoming attempt to clarify the defense's position in the light of the accused's confession. Do you intend to formally assert that the experiment was nothing more than a conjuring trick? Because the moment you do, the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act that protects the professor's invention will cease to apply. The prosecution will then demand a rigorous examination of the machinery involved in order to establish the truth. However, if you acknowledge that the machine is genuine and instrumental in the victim's murder, any chance of investigating will be crushed, and the confidentiality of the professor's hypothesis preserved.
Well, Count
his official position on this matter?
What Professor Harebrain, my client, actually asked of me was to prove that the explosion on stage was an accident to protect the secrecy of his hypothesis. But there's no way to do that without implying the professor's guilt. Do I protect my client's life by asserting his innocence, or do I uphold my client's request but see him condemned? Sounds like a good time to save. Either way, I can't avoid betraying his trust.
You've been silent long enough. Isn't talking your trade, my learned friend. Or has all knowledge of English escaped you, your confused Nipponese mind?
Mr. Naruhodo!
There's no escape here. I have to make a choice. But it's an impossible one. I have to give up on something. But what? The defense asserts that the defense's instantaneous kinesis machine was in fact. I did save. We'll try a scientific invention. It might not even go with it. No, I can't say it. My client placed his faith in me. I can't just let him down.
What must I give up on is not the question you have to ask yourself here. It's what can I protect?
I don't know who said that.
Oh, it's Susanoo!
Hello again, Mr. Naruhodo. It's been far too long.
I missed you!
Susato-san. But, what are you?
Hiya!
My first Susato takedown in 6 months.
There'll be time to talk later, Mr. Naruhodo. For now, you must concentrate on the task at hand.
Which is working out not what I have to give up on, but what I can protect. Professor Harebrain.
Yes.
Yesterday you told me that science is the pursuit of truth. Well, my job is to pursue the truth too.
Yes, of course.
And personally, I believe that you didn't stab Mr. Asman. I think you've come to realize something yourself too, haven't you? That your experiment and the machine you built with the victim are questionable. The truth behind that is what we must both pursue now.
So, you finally opened your eyes.
What?
And as for you, Albert, you can't ignore this any longer. Having heard my learned friend's assertion, don't you have something to say?
Derek!
Lord Van Zeeks.
Gosh, I've never heard him speak that way before. In truth, there is one thing, something I remember that's of relevance.
What?
On the day it happened, just before I began the experiment, I saw a man near the stage. A man holding that crossbow.
I beg your pardon.
Professor, did the man have any distinguishing features? What did he look like?
Taller than me and thinner than me, with straight hair, straighter and whiter than mine. Let me see, one less lens than me too, a monocle, rather stylish black monocle. But one thing in particular will help to positively identify the man. You see, I know him very well. After all, he's the engineer who built my invention.
What?
He built the machine.
That's right. Mr. Asman introduced him to me a year ago. He's a man by the name of Enoch Drebber. Enoch Drebber?
Does this name mean something? Members of the jury seem flustered.
Not a name any scientist wishes to hear. That man's an abomination.
Not a name any conjurer wishes to hear either. Who on earth is he?
I'm afraid this isn't the first tale of this nature that I've heard in scientific circles in connection with that name. There's talk of other flamboyant experiments that turn out to be nothing but stage trickery in the end. Obviously, the rascal is after the government's research grant money.
When magicians are in need of money, I've heard of them resorting to these underhand tactics. Some acquaintances of mine with experience of such things have mentioned Enoch Drebber's name before.
The man is both an engineer and a magician. Yes, we're dealing with an unparalleled confidence trickster here. That's Enoch Drebber for you. So it's true then. My invention, my great machine, it was just a grand illusion.
Considering what we've just heard about Mr. Drebber's character, I'm sorry to say that sounds increasingly likely.
Even though no one else believed it, I wanted to. I wanted to believe that machine would function exactly as my hypothesis predicted.
Which is why you were so opposed to it being investigated, I presume.
I knew that if the machine was examined in detail, its construction would give away my hypothesis. Obviously, I didn't want that to happen. But at the same time, I knew that if it was found to be nothing more than a trick, then a work of deception, then everything I'd worked towards, all my research, all my dreams, my whole life would be over. I was terrified at the prospect.
So you really had no idea then, did you? About the true nature of the machine that was built, and the true nature of Mr. Drebber.
I never questioned anything. I didn't want to question it.
It's entirely possible that Mr. Asman and Mr. Drebber were working together to use you as a means of fraudulently acquiring the research grant money.
When I announced my invention to the crowds that day, it was the finest moment of my career. I pulled all the levers and turned all the dials in exactly the way Drebber had described. When the smoke suddenly started billowing out, I panicked. I didn't know what was happening. But I really don't know how the whole illusion was made to work. I don't know anything anymore.
Let me confirm one final point with you, Professor. Do you now consent to the prosecution submitting the necessary paperwork to release your invention from the protection afforded by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act?
Yes, please, go ahead. I'm very sorry.
It would appear that we shall have to suspend proceedings for the remainder of the day now. Lord Van Ziets,
My lord.
the court has newly been made aware of another party whose involvement in this matter is critical.
Yes, Mr. Drebber.
Gather information about the man. If possible, I should like him served with a subpoena.
With pleasure, my lord.
Now, counsel for the defense.
Yes, my lord.
When we reconvene, I shall be looking for one thing and one thing alone from you.
evidence that the defendant is innocent of the crime for which he presently stands accused.
I understand.
Good. In that case, this court is adjourned until tomorrow morning.
Alright, here is a good stopping point. I needed to stop anyway. I'm just gonna save here. I'm just not even gonna read whatever goes on there. I'm just gonna save here. We are gonna go find somebody to raid. And then it is off to bed for me. 'Cause I have to spend the entire day tomorrow cramming for an exam. Alright, let's see. I don't think not many people stream this game. Nope, I'm the only one streaming it right now. That's fine. Well, there's one person I follow who. Oh, thank you. There's one person I mean, there's Ian. Okay, we can do Ian. Unless somebody else has a suggestion for a raid, which I am open to. It's just, yeah, I don't think the people I normally raid stream at this time. And if they do, it's not till like another hour or two. Otherwise, I'm just gonna raid Ian. I think I'm gonna start the raid. But yes, today was fun. I learned that I can kind of do a German accent if I really try. I don't know. God love the man. I love the little bohemian boy. He's a riot. But yeah, next stream is gonna be Thursday, and that's gonna be Mass Effect. And then next week, if anyone wants to come back for Ace Attorney, it's going to be Wednesday. Because I normally stream it on Wednesday. But this week it was moved to Tuesday because I want to spend Wednesday studying for my Thursday exam. But yes, thank you everybody who came by. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys find some sort of joy listening to me do my little voices. But yeah, I will see you guys next time. If you ever decide to come back, I don't know, it's up to you. And I hope you have a good rest of your day or evening. I will lift myself out of here and then commence the raid.